Imagine living in a world where humans and demons are forced to play nice under a peace treaty, but beneath the surface, it's nothing but chaos. Our girl is currently having a total meltdown because her assigned exorcist target looks like a complete pushover. Are you kidding me? She's just a tiny chick. She yells, staring at her phone in disbelief while standing outside the mission zone. But don't let the cute pink hair fool you, because this little nugget is packing some serious heat. As she steps into the facility and ties her hair back, you can see the determination in her icy blue eyes. Someone thinks she won't last 10 seconds, but they clearly haven't met our heroine yet. Inside, a thirsty succubus is busy draining the life out of some poor guy, thinking she's got a free meal. The demon is literally hovering over him, ready to finish the job. It's a pretty gruesome sight, with the demon's wings spread wide in the dimly lit room. Hey, over here, leech. Our girl snaps, sliding into the room with zero fear. The succubus is genuinely confused that a mere human would dare to interrupt her dinner. How about you leave him alone and come with me? Our heroine suggests, though her tone says it's definitely not a request. Before the demon can even blink, our girl unleashes a surge of power that freezes the air itself. With a savage flick of her wrist, she sends a wave of energy crashing forward. She grabs the victim out of harm's way and delivers a brutal ice-cold strike. The succubus is sent flying through a glass partition, shattered shards raining down everywhere. Well, that was easy. Our girl sighs, looking like she's just finished taking out the trash. She prepares to bind the demon, thinking the fight is already over. Suddenly, her body freezes up, and she realizes she can't move a single muscle. The succubus looms over her, eyes glowing with a terrifying purple light. Did you just take a swing at me, filthy human? The demon hisses, grabbing our girl by her hair. The demon's true form begins to shadow over her, looking absolutely demonic and ready for blood. I'll make you suffer for this, the succubus growls, pinning our poor heroine down. It looks like curtains for our girl as she's held in a suffocating grip. But then something inside her snaps and her eyes ignite with a haunting purple glow. Get the F*** off of me. She screams, her voice vibrating with pure rage. An explosion of blue energy erupts from her, blasting the demon and the victim away. The succubus is left trembling, wondering how a human could possibly be this strong. How is she blocking my powers? The demon stammers, her confidence completely shattered. She stares at our girl in pure terror, realizing she's trapped in a room with a monster. The demon realizes this is no ordinary human and decides that survival is better than a snack. I'm out of here, she shrieks, turning tail to bolt through the window. But our girl is done playing games. Oh no, you F***ing don't. She roars, summoning a massive glowing blade of energy. The succubus looks back in horror as the room is consumed by a blinding light. If you had just come peacefully, our girl yells, swinging her weapon with everything she's got. A massive pillar of ice and water explodes in the center of the pool area. The impact is so violent it sends a shockwave through the entire building. When the mist clears, our heroine is standing tall, looking like an absolute queen of destruction. Far below, the succubus is floating face down, completely defeated. See, that's what you get, our girl mutters, wringing out her soaked hair. Next time, just stand down immediately, she adds, looking totally exhausted but victorious. The system confirms the task completed, but the mission is far from over. We learn that even though there's a treaty, demons are still wreaking havoc and threatening human lives. Our girl is part of the elite force that has to clean up their mess. Despite the peace, it's clear that humans still look at exorcists with a mix of awe and suspicion. The world might look bright on the outside, but for our girls, it's a constant battle against old habits that won't die. She heads back to her dorm at the Wakayama University of Technology, looking like she just wants to sleep for a week. But the shadows of her past are always lurking. A mysterious new girl with short dark hair and a rebellious streak arrives at room 502. Each and every one of them would be 6 feet under, the newcomer thinks, her eyes filled with a dark, vengeful fire. Meanwhile, a secret meeting is happening elsewhere, where demons are searching for someone they've lost for 10 years. Don't you think she might already be dead? One of them asks, casting a somber mood over the room. Back at the dorm, the mysterious girl lets herself in and spots our heroine. Cutie alert, how's it going? She chirps, trying to be flirty and charming. Our girl, however, is in no mood for games and gives her the coldest shoulder in history. Hello, hey, the intruder persists, clearly not getting the hint. She even tries to get our girl's number, leaning in with a rose in her mouth like some cheesy romance lead. I think we're meant to be Tilda, she purrs, flashing a wink. But our heroine's face pales as she recognizes the girl's fangs. What the hell, what are you doing here? She screams, her trauma bubbling to the surface. The intruder is taken aback, acting like they've never met before. I think I'd remember meeting such a beautiful girl, she says, but her smirk fades when glowing blue chains suddenly wrap around her. The flirty demon is pinned to the wall, completely caught off guard. Our girl is shaking, her eyes wide with a mix of grief and murderous intent. Joking around, after everything you've done, she whispers, her voice trembling. She tightens the chains, the metal glowing with a lethal intensity. You think this is funny? She shrieks, the pain of her past finally exploding. The intruder realizes this isn't a joke anymore. She's actually about to be killed. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she yells, struggling against the magical restraints. Our girl is relentless, her rage fueled by the memory of her loved ones being slaughtered. "Don't try to play dumb with me, I'd know your face from a mile away." We see a flash of a horrific memory, a church covered in blood and a demon laughing over the bodies of Father William and Yehe. Our girl is determined to end it right here, summoning a massive magical cannon to finish the job. "You're not leaving here alive, go to hell," she screams, pulling the trigger. A massive blast of blue energy tears through the room, threatening to take out everything in its path. But at that exact moment, two innocent students are standing right outside the door. The explosion rips through the hallway, and for a second, it looks like our heroine has become the very monster she hates. The mysterious girl, showing her true demon form with massive wings, manages to shield the two girls just in time. "Are you completely insane? We're on campus." She roars, her floaty persona replaced by genuine fury. She glares at our heroine, who is left standing in the wreckage of her own rage. "You almost killed two innocent people." The demon snaps, holding our girl by her collar. Our heroine can only stare back, the weight of her actions finally sinking in as she realizes that in her quest for revenge, she almost became the villain. The counselor doesn't waste any time and gets straight to the point. Poor Xiao looks like she's about to faint as her hands shake with pure nerves. Why? Because she's just been told that a literal demon is going to be her roommate for the foreseeable future. Our girl is absolutely floored, her eyes wide with disbelief. "You can't be serious," she screams, basically telling the lady she'd rather be fired than live with a monster. She's rightfully furious because apparently that creature is responsible for killing Father William. The headmistress tries to play the "I understand your anger" card while calmly fiddling with her prayer beads. But then she flips the script, raising her voice and scolding our heroine for causing mayhem and risking her exorcist license. Xiao can only look away in a stony silence while being reminded that she should be thankful the school covered up her recent mess. The headmistress sighs, wondering what she's ever going to do with such a hot-headed student. She points out that William's death was suspicious, but Xiao will never find the truth if she's blinded by rage. Our girl tries to negotiate for a different room, looking totally defeated, but nope. The women's dorm is packed. The headmistress tells her to view this as the perfect chance to investigate the demon from the inside. She gives Xiao a reassuring pat on the shoulder, telling her to keep a close eye on the girl's involvement. As night falls over the campus, the headmistress promises her everything will be okay. Back at the dorm, Xiao reluctantly enters her new hell. The demon girl is just chilling in a chair, asking, "So Tilda, what's the verdict? Do you get fired?" She even has the audacity to tell our girl she owes her a thank you for stopping her from killing anyone. Xiao has officially reached her limit and screams, "Shut your damn mouth," before kicking the chair right out from under her. The demon girl is more worried about her expensive laptop than the assault, but Xiao isn't playing games. She pins the demon down, demanding to know where she's been for the last 10 years and why she's suddenly back. The demon just stares back through her fingers, thinking our girl has completely lost her marbles. Suddenly, their roommate Ziehen wakes up, totally confused by the wrestling match. She doesn't even remember going to sleep. The demon girl quickly puts on a fake smile, claiming they were just having a lil bonding session and some friendly fun. Their other roommate, the elegant Liexu, isn't impressed at all and tells them to be quiet because she's trying to sleep. The demon girl plays nice until the others are distracted, then pulls Xiao close with a chilling warning. "I'm very confused about why you're mad at me," she teases, before telling Xiao to get a hold of herself unless she wants the roommates to have their memories wiped a second time today. Little does she know our girl was pulling a fake sleep and is watching her every move from the top bunk. The demon leaps out and Xiao isn't about to let her escape. She confronts her on the roof, shouting that she won't let her out of her sight. The demon just smirks from the edge of the roof and tells her to try and keep up. Our girl sprints after her, realizing the demon just teleported over to the men's dorm. Xiao leaps into action, but the demon suddenly sprouts massive wings and takes to the sky. "I should have anticipated this." Our heroine grumbles as she summons a magic blue chain to close the gap. She swings through the air like a total badass, desperate to stop the demon before things turn into a disaster. But then she notices something weird. The demon girl is actually intercepting a dark energy that looks like wet dreams. Xiao is disgusted, calling her a fucking pervert, but then she remembers the human-devil peace treaty. According to the rules, if the demon isn't using coercion, it's technically not a crime, leaving our girl feeling totally useless. Suddenly, the demon girl teleports right behind her, teasing her for being distracted. But the playful mood shifts instantly when the demon senses something else nearby. Before Xiao can process it, the demon grabs her and yells, "Hold on tight." She carries our girl to another rooftop, claiming she's found some work for her to do. Xiao is livid about being touched by dirty hands, but the demon girl points out that someone else is currently having dinner nearby. It turns out there's a different, weaker demon lurking in the shadows. Our resident demon girl grins, noting that while the exorcist missed it, nothing gets past her. She tells Xiao to go deal with them, and our girl doesn't hesitate, lunging forward with her chains. She lands a direct hit, pinning the rogue spirit to the ground. "You are under arrest for using forbidden magic on humans," she declares, reciting her rights like a true pro. But when she gets a good look at the criminal, her jaw drops. It's a girl who looks exactly like their roommate, Ziyihan, and she's looking absolutely feral. "It's you again," the demon shrieks, absolutely losing her mind. She's having a total meltdown because apparently humans stole more than half her magic and left her in this pathetic state. "How am I gonna live now?" she wails, sobbing like she just lost her favorite gacha game. Our girl Yu is totally unfazed and tells her to just live like a normal, law-abiding citizen. But the demon isn't having it, screaming about how the law was forced on them by humans emboldened by an angel's blessing. She literally declares she'd rather die than live without dignity, like a dog begging for scraps. Meanwhile, lurking in the shadows, our resident succubus roommate is watching the whole drama unfold. The demon keeps begging for the sweet release of death, which honestly just makes Yu look like she's questioning every life choice that led her to this moment. She can't believe this asterisk is the creature she's been chasing constantly to kill. Outside, the heavy hitters arrive and this guy with a nasty scar starts checking ID. He's impressed by the credentials, but he's got a massive ego about being combat personnel. The roommate is confused about what a civilian post even is. And this jerk doesn't hold back. He explains that they're basically the tech nerds of the Exorcists Association who can't actually hold their own in a fight. He goes as far as calling them charlatans who do nothing but bring shame to the name. Tianyu's ID clearly lists her in the magic technology department, which explains the disrespect. The guy walks off like he owns the place. But as soon as they're alone, the roommate starts poking the bear, mocking Tianyu for not standing up for herself. "Bad moves," our heroine snaps and pins her to the wall in a heartbeat. "What do you want? Why did you take me to the demon? To use me and get rid of the competition?" she demands, her eyes glowing with pure rage. The succubus tries to play it cool, claiming she was just doing her duty as a civilian to guide an exorcist to a criminal. She even has the audacity to suggest they exchange secrets. She wants to know why Tianyu chose a civilian post, and in return, she'll reveal why she's lurking around the school. But Tianyu isn't falling for the trap. She slaps her hand away and tells her to quit the schemes. "I'll find an opening and bring you to justice eventually," she vows, walking away. The succubus just watches her go, calling her an insignificant insect with a smirk. Back at the dorm, the roommate is out cold and drooling like a baby. Tianyu watches her, refusing to believe that lame excuse about only feeding on sexual fantasies. She decides right then and there that she needs to monitor this girl even more closely. The next day, it's total war in the lecture hall. Tianyu is on a mission. During lunch, she decides to sit right next to her target. The succubus literally spits out her drink in shock when Tianyu refuses to move to the other side. And it gets even better. Every time the succubus tries to talk to a guy, our girl is right there, looming in the background like a vengeful spirit. Naturally, the guys get creeped out and bolt, leaving the poor succubus sitting in a literal spotlight of social despair. By nightfall, the succubus is back in bed, crying her eyes out because she's absolutely starving. She feels like a total disgrace to the succubus race. See, most succubi stay in female form because there are way more human men to feed on. But our girl here failed her transformation magic. She's been barely surviving on scraps of fantasies just to maintain her minimum energy. Her stomach is growling so loud it could wake the dead. Suddenly, she wakes up in the middle of the night and realizes she can't move. She thinks she has a sleep paralysis demon, but the reality is way weirder. She's been completely wrapped in glowing magical chains. And who's at the other end of those chains? Tianyu, who is sound asleep and cuddling her like a teddy bear. The succubus is absolutely losing it, screaming internally, "What's going on?" as she's trapped in the world's most awkward magical snuggle. Our girl wakes up to find her bed is getting a little too crowded for comfort. "Oh, it's far too cramped here," she snaps, trying to shove her roommate away. But the blonde beauty Xiao Yu is out like a light, and those glowing blue chains aren't helping the situation one bit. "Can you head back to your own bed?" our succubus demands, but she's met with nothing but a sleepy groan. As the morning light hits, our poor heroine is stuck in a tangle of limbs and magic. She realizes those chains are tighter than she thought, binding them together in a way that's definitely not in the roommate contract. When their feet touch, our girl nearly jumps out of her skin. "What the hell?" she shouts, though a smug voice in her head notes that despite the blonde's unpleasant attitude, her body seems a lot more honest than her words. Xiao Yu looks absolutely miserable being forced into this cuddle session. Our girl doesn't care though. She takes a deep breath, literally inhaling the sweet, sweet essence of her roommate. Xiao Yu can only blink in confusion as our girl basically huffs her like a premium candle. Lying there, our girl realizes she's been looking at things all wrong. "Oh right," she thinks, a light bulb going off in her head. She spent so much time being conservative, she forgot a very important fact of life. As she stares at their joined hands, she realizes that women have desires too. If the men are all terrified of her, why not just change the target audience? Wouldn't competition be a lot less fiercer if I targeted women instead? She muses with a wicked grin. The next morning, our girl is on a mission, and that mission involves a crop top and some serious gym time. Woo, your abs, the other girls scream, practically tripping over themselves to get a look. They can't believe a girl can actually get a six-pack like that. Our girl is suddenly the most popular person on campus, surrounded by a swarm of admirers. Wanna get a feel of them? She asks, leaning back with peak cool girl energy. Aren't you guys lucky to be able to look at these amazing abs every day, Tilda, she teases. Meanwhile, the glasses-wearing friend is in the back, sweating bullets and muttering that it's definitely not an everyday occurrence. One girl is nearly fainting from the scandalous sight of a stomach, but the others are hooked. Our girl even approaches a girl in a blue top, asking for some guidance on what women actually like. She never expected that the abs that scared off every guy in a 10-mile radius would have such a strong appeal to the ladies. She's practically hugging her new fan club, thinking to herself that at this rate, she'll be feasting on essence in no time. But the party atmosphere takes a nosedive when someone asks where her roommate is. Our girl freezes. She can feel a dark, murderous aura radiating from the corner of the room. There stands Xiao Yu, looking like she's about to summon a demon just to have someone to punch. I think you guys pushed her into that corner, someone whispers as the dark clouds literally manifest around the blonde. The other students are terrified, warning each other not to make eye contact. The glasses girl tries to defend her, claiming Xiao Yu is just aloof and actually quite gentle. Yeah, right, touch a single hair on them and I'll kill you, Xiao Yu growls, looking like a literal monster. Our girl is sweating now, like hell she's gentle, she's a total lunatic, she screams internally. Later in class, our girl is trying to catch some Z's during a boring lecture. Suddenly, she catches a scent. Who's getting horny in the middle of class? She wonders, sniffing the air like a bloodhound. She tracks the scent to the girl in the blue top sitting right next to her. You can never judge a book by its cover, she thinks, leaning over to see what's got this girl so worked up. She peeks at the girl's tablet and her jaw hits the floor. What the fuck? She screams internally. Our girl is absolutely floored. My god, I could have never known that's one hardcore fetish, she thinks, looking at the quiet girl with newfound respect. She decides to have a little fun and cracks her knuckles. The girl in blue is sweating, her secret hobby exposed to a literal succubus. Our girl leans in close, whispering, "What are you reading? Let me have a look too." The poor girl is blushing so hard she might explode, finally letting out a loud ahem to try and save face. "Please behave yourself," she squeaks, shoving our girl away. Our heroine just rubs her sore cheek, pouting. But the real danger is behind her. Xiao Yu is watching the whole interaction with eyes that could melt steel. "You madwoman, you're always getting in the way of my meals." Our girl snaps, but Xiao Yu isn't budging. Realizing that the dorm girls are a dead end thanks to her blonde shadow, our girl decides to take her talents online. Her eyes sparkle when she finds exactly what she needs. "What's this?" she exclaims, staring at her screen. She's found Red Cupid, the #1 socializing app for women. Cut to the city where our girl has checked into a fancy hotel. She's lounging on the bed, finally feeling at ease without having to see Xiao Yu's annoying face. She brags to herself that she's the best at covering her tracks and way more agile than your average succubus. She even remembers flying out of the dorm window in her demon form, leaving the blonde in the dust. Suddenly, there's a heavy thumb asterisk. Our girl looks up and her heart nearly stops. Xiao Yu is literally clinging to the outside of the window, staring at her like a horror movie villain. "Not again?" Our girl screams, bolting for the door. She takes to the skies, flying over the city as fast as her wings can carry her. She can't understand how the blonde keeps finding her. She looks back and sees Xiao Yu standing on the very edge of the hotel roof, looking down at the city like a predator. Xiao Yu is actually on the phone with someone named Opal, who's screaming at her for missing her orders. "Stop assigning me orders already, I don't need to work for the company anymore," Xiao Yu yells back. Opal is shocked. "Don't tell me you found that succubus," she asks as Xiao Yu sprints across the rooftops. Opal reminds her that she's the one who taught her summoning magic, but Xiao Yu isn't listening. She sees a cruise ship departing and panics. She can't lose her target now. "I'm reporting you for offering private services as a hired roughneck," Opal threatens, but Xiao Yu just hangs up on her. "Sorry, Opal," she mutters, her eyes glowing with resolve. "But that succubus owes me a debt that needs to be paid in blood." Back in another room, our girl is in a bathrobe, trying to relax after the chase. There's a knock at the door. "Whoa, you sure arrived quickly," she says, thinking her date from the app has arrived. She opens the door, expecting a fun night, but instead the door is slammed open. "Who were you waiting for?" A voice growls. "It's Xiao Yu." The blonde walks into the room with terrifying calm. She's checking her phone, thinking she's finally shaken off that ghostly woman after a quick shower. Our girl is lounging on the sofa, feeling pretty good because her sister didn't even get mad about the change of plans. But then a sudden knock at the door ruins the vibe. "Even if she's close, isn't it too soon?" she mutters, looking toward the door with a suspicious glare. She opens it up, expecting a friendly face, but the mood shifts instantly. A heavy hand slams against the door frame, stopping her from closing it. It's her. The relentless blonde woman stares her down with a look that says our heroine is in deep trouble. "Who are you waiting for?" she asks coldly, and our girl can only scream, "Why?" In pure frustration, the intruder doesn't even wait for an invitation, barging right into the apartment. Our poor heroine is losing her mind, shouting, "How on earth do you find me every time?" The blonde makes a beeline for the sofa, reaching for the phone. "Don't touch my phone," our girl screams, lunging to protect her digital secrets. She dives through the air with a look of pure desperation on her face. But she's no match for this woman's reflexes and ends up face-planting onto the floor. Before she can even crawl away, glowing blue chains wrap around her ankles, pinning her down. She's left shaking on the floor, wondering how things went south so fast. Meanwhile, the blonde is scrolling through her chat logs, and she is absolutely disgusted by what she sees. "You spend a lot of time talking to people and you even run away from me," she growls, her eyes burning with jealousy. "Just to sleep with humans?" she demands, looking down at our girl with pure contempt. Our heroine isn't taking that lying down, snapping back, "What do you mean just for?" She starts a whole rant about the job market, shouting, "You have no idea how competitive the succubus life is right now." We see a glimpse into her struggle. "Modern humans are so overworked and cold-blooded that it's impossible to get a decent energy meal anymore. How can you understand how hard it is for me to eat a full meal?" she cries out. The blonde just sighs, tossing the phone aside as if the whole dating scene is beneath her. She stands over our tied-up heroine, asking what all this trouble is really for. "Wouldn't it be enough to just burn, kill, and loot like before?" she asks, her eyes glowing with a terrifying blue light. She looks like a straight-up villain right now, looming over our girl with zero mercy. She raises her boot, ready to deliver a humiliating stomp to our girl's face. But our girl catches the boot, her eyes glowing pink with fury. "I've been in a good mood all day and you even smack your nose on your face," she hisses. Suddenly, a voice from the door interrupts the showdown, asking if they have the wrong place. The blonde doesn't even move her foot, keeping our girl pinned while the poor visitor stares in shock. "No, you are not wrong," our girl shouts, trying to maintain some dignity. She tries to scramble away, her eyes wide as she realizes how bad this looks. There's a literal boot print on her chest now. Talk about a bad day. The visitor takes one look at the chaos and bolts, shouting, "I'm sorry to bother you." With the witness gone, our girl finally snaps, her shadow growing massive wings and horns. "Are you satisfied now?" she asks, her voice dripping with demonic malice. She lunges forward with a powerful smack, ready to end this once and for all. The succubus finally comes out to play, diving at her tormentor with everything she's got. The force of the impact sends shockwaves through the room. She pins the blonde down, her voice low and dangerous. "Since you like to hang around in front of me so much, then I'll start with you as an appetizer," she declares. It's a total role reversal as our girl towers over her, eyes glowing with predatory intent. Her demonic tail lashes out, showing she's not playing around anymore. The struggle is so intense that furniture is flying everywhere. Even after all that, we get a little chibai moment showing they're still at each other's throats. Hai Yao reminds us that as a succubus, she's supposed to be a master of spiritual magic. Her race is famous for making humans obey their every whim. But as she tries to pin the blonde down again, the woman just stares up at her, completely unfazed. "What are you doing?" she asks, sounding more bored than scared. It turns into a messy scuffle on the floor, with the blonde asking if she's had enough yet. Our girl has to admit that her magic might be a little mediocre. "What's your skull made of?" the blonde asks after a particularly failed headbutt. Once again, our poor heroine ends up in chains, crying out about how unfair the situation is. The blonde mocks her three-legged cat magic, leaving our girl wondering how she even knew about her secret techniques. "I've never told anyone such a humiliating thing," she groans, feeling totally exposed. She's forced to follow along as the blonde drags her by the energy chain like a pet. "Make up your mind not to open your mouth, right?" she snaps, still resisting. But eventually, she's forced to play along with whatever crazy plan this woman has. Fast forward to the weekend, and they've ended up at a super luxurious KTV club. Our girl is looking sharp in a black crop top, but she's clearly looking for an exit. "You go first, I have to go to the toilet," Tilda, she chirps, trying to sneak away. But of course, the blonde isn't letting her out of her sight and insists on coming along. They walk down the hall together, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. The other guests can't help but stare at the intense duo as they pass. They enter a private room, the door clicking shut behind them. "Is this a toilet?" the blonde asks, but before she can react, our girl grabs her arm and pulls her in. She slams the blonde against the wall, a smug smirk on her face. "It's time to change the role of the boss this time, right?" she whispers. She leans in close, finally taking control of the situation. "Tell me, why do you seem so familiar to me?" she asks, her eyes searching the other woman's face. The blonde doesn't flinch, simply stating, "I've been looking for you for the past 10 years, isn't it normal to be familiar with you?" Our girl pauses, her red eyes glowing in the dark as she processes that bombshell. She suspects that there are a lot of important parts that this woman has been hiding from her. The blonde tries to end the conversation, saying toilet time is over. But our heroine isn't done yet, grabbing her from behind and refusing to let go. Suddenly, the blonde's expression changes as a strange sensation washes over her. A thick purple mist begins to fill the room, and our girl is the one holding her up now. Who is spreading spiritual magic through central air conditioning? The blonde realizes, but it's already too late. She glares at our girl, calling her a bastard for the diversion, but our heroine just laughs. Haha, don't be so nervous, Tilda, she coos. The blonde collapses onto the sofa, her body growing weak from the magical trap. Our girl places a finger over her lips, leaning in close. This is just a simple mental disturbance, and it does no harm to the human body, Tilda, she teases. She looks down at her captive with a predatory glint in her eyes. I'd rather see how you can stop me this time, she whispers, relishing her victory. The blonde is completely at her mercy now, struggling against the haze. Our girl leans into her ear, whispering, "You smell very attractive now, Tilda." And just like that, the tables have finally turned, with our succubus heroine pulling all the strings. The blue-haired demoness leans in close, her eyes gleaming with a dangerous hunger as she mocks our girl's apparent submission. As expected of the power of an old woman, she purrs, "You can tame your stubborn donkey with just this little bit." She's clearly enjoying this way too much, thanking our heroine for providing such a rare happy meal. But the playtime ends abruptly when she pins our girl down, her voice turning cold as she demands to know which bastard told her about her secret weakness. Our girl doesn't flinch, her own eyes glowing with a haunting purple light as she delivers a chilling response. "You told me that yourself." This sends the demoness into a total tailspin because there's no way she'd ever be that vulnerable with a human. She insists they only met recently at school, but our heroine isn't letting her off the hook, asking how she could possibly forget their history. The demoness starts spiraling into a full-blown emotional breakdown, accusing our girl of playing with her and throwing her away like garbage every single time. She's shaking with rage and sorrow, screaming that it would be better if our girl just killed her instead of destroying her life again without an explanation. Fed up with the drama, our heroine unleashes a massive surge of magic to snap her out of it. The demoness coughs, complaining that such a reckless display of power is going to lure security right to them. And speak of the devil, two massive beastmen guards burst into the room, demanding to know who's causing a ruckus in their clubhouse. One of them recognizes the demoness immediately, calling her a little bastard who's constantly sneaking in for free food and drinks. She isn't about to go quietly, though, delivering a brutal kick to the bear guard's face before making a run for it. She sprints down the hallway, laughing like a maniac and calling them big stupid bears as she vanishes into the shadows. Our heroine watches from the side, trying to process the absolute chaos she just witnessed. She's beyond humiliated that she had to see that pathetic display. However, it confirms her theory. The high probability of amnesia is definitely true. She reasons that a brutal murderer would never pass up the chance to drain her vitality while she was vulnerable. As she sneaks through the halls, she overhears the guards talking about their bosses and a mysterious old woman who spreads mental disturbances. She starts connecting the dots, wondering if these hidden superiors are the ones pulling the strings behind the priest's death and the demoness's memory loss. Returning to the karaoke room, she finds the demoness acting like nothing happened, while their friend complains about her taking forever in the bathroom. Our girl sits there in silence, convinced that a much bigger conspiracy is being deployed. She joins them on the couch, looking absolutely exhausted by the layers of lies surrounding her. While their nerdy friend belts out love songs on the mic, the tension between our heroine and the demoness is thick enough to cut with a knife. Our girl decides to do some digital digging, looking up the nightclub's owner, Xiao Yu. She realizes this place is a front for a gray industry that harvests desire. Flashbacks of the demoness in her true, blood-soaked form haunt her, and she tries to log into the Exorcist Society database for more answers. Seeing the demoness acting like a total fool next to her only confirms that the monster she once knew is effectively gone. The demoness is busy bragging about her win and mocking our girl for not being able to beat her. Our heroine just stares at her with those cold, calculating eyes, making the demoness visibly sweat. She pulls out a registration card for a succubus named Topaz, her mind racing as she plans her next move. She decides to play a little game of her own, moving closer and asking, "What are you looking at? Didn't you want me to come here?" Her eyes glow with a predatory blue light as she takes a slow sip of water, looking more dangerous than the demoness herself. The atmosphere in the room shifts instantly, leaving their friend feeling totally left out of the weird vibe. In a move no one saw coming, our girl leans over and rests her head on the demoness's shoulder. The demoness is stunned but quickly recovers, posing for a cute photo while shushing their friend. But our girl isn't actually sleeping, she's seething. She starts faking tears in her sleep, whispering "don't, why," to bait her prey. The demoness finds this really interesting, marveling at how our girl seems like two different people when she's awake versus asleep. She wonders if these tears are sincere or just a calculated lie, reaching out to touch our heroine's face. Big mistake, our girl's hand snaps up, grabbing her wrist in a vice grip. I didn't mean to wake you up," the demoness stammers, but the look on our girl's face says she's already dead. In the blink of an eye, glowing blue magic chains erupt, binding the demoness tightly to the couch. The demoness realizes too late that she was the one being played the entire time. Our heroine isn't crying anymore, she's in total control. High above the sleeping world, a winged demon soars through the moonlight, clutching a small child in her arms. The little girl looks down, her eyes sparkling with pure wonder at the twinkling lights below. "How's it going? Isn't it beautiful?" The demon asks with a deceptively sweet smile. The child is completely mesmerized, shouting out a happy yeah as they glide through the stars. The demon chuckles, acting like the perfect guardian. That's great, it's good that you like it, she purrs, before her expression shifts into something far more sinister. Suddenly, the warmth vanishes as the demon holds the girl out over the empty air. The child whimpers, her jaw turning to confusion. With a chilling lack of remorse, the succubus sneers, "It's hard for me to find such a suitable location as your final grave." Before the poor girl can even scream, she's dropped, plummeting toward the jagged rocks below. She falls into the dark abyss, certain that this is the end. But wait, a hand suddenly snaps out and grabs her wrist with a violent jolt. It was all just a nightmare. Our girl Xiao wakes up in a cold sweat, realizing she's actually in her dorm room, staring right into the eyes of her roommate Tianyu. The tension in the room is thick enough to cut with a knife as they glare at each other. "What's the matter? What did you dream about?" Tianyu asks, though she doesn't exactly sound concerned. Xiao feels like she's being crushed under the weight of the moment. Naturally, their constant bickering hasn't gone unnoticed by the rest of the class. "Everyone, classmates, if you have something to say, let's talk." One girl tries to interject, but she's quickly shushed. The other students are basically eating popcorn watching this drama unfold. "Why are they arguing again?" They whisper, wondering what the deal is with these two. One of the roommates, acting like a total shipping detective, crosses her arms and sighs at the ignorance of her peers. "Can't you see what their relationship is?" she asks, convinced they are in some kind of secret holiday relationship. She starts flashing back to when Xiao first moved into the dormitory. In her mind, she's playing back scenes like a romantic movie. She theorizes that because Tianyu is so closed off, it's impossible for her to be this intimate with a stranger. "So there is only one truth," she declares, adjusting her glasses. "That's because they've known each other for a long time." According to her expert analysis, while it looks like Tianyu is unilaterally bullying Xiao, the reality is that Xiao is actually the one pampering her. Back in reality, Xiao is just lying in her bunk, bored out of her mind. She looks around the room, calling her roommates a bunch of nerds. Tianyu is standing nearby, looking as grumpy as ever. Our detective roommate is still 100% sure this is just a flirtatious trick played by a young couple. Xiao watches another roommate typing away like her life depends on it. Literal flames of passion surrounding her keyboard. Xiao is offended. "Eat a ghost." She snaps back, though she starts climbing down anyway. She grumbles about how Tianyu is always so demanding. "Xiao Lai Sheng fried at the school gate, what's the problem?" Tianyu asks coldly. Xiao can't believe how unenthusiastic her roommate has become. "I'm leaving, you don't care about me." Xiao shouts, lingering by the door like she's waiting for Tianyu to stop her. She even peeks back through the crack of the door, hoping for a reaction. But nope, she ends up walking through the city alone, feeling totally neglected. "You really let me go out like this?" She sighs, looking like a kicked puppy. As she wanders the streets, she finally reaches the shop, only to realize the horrible truth. She looks up at the sign for Xiao Lai Sheng frying and sees the business hours are already over. "Wait, what does she mean? How can I bring it back at this time?" She panics. She checks her phone and realizes it's way too late. Her hunger starts to get the better of her, and her demon instincts kick in. How easy it would be if you could just grab someone and drain your life force, Tilda, she muses. But she remembers the ancient peace agreement between the succubus clan and humans. No matter how hungry she is, she can't harm a human. Seeing other demons breaking the rules makes her feel like she's living an embarrassed life. She briefly considers calling Tianyu to just arrest all the illegal succubuses in the area, but then shakes the thought away. "Stop, what am I thinking?" She yells at herself, feeling like Tianyu has invaded her consciousness. She remembers how she used to think Tianyu was just a bluffing cutie. But now she knows the truth. The girl is more like a vicious little dog that bites and gets in the way. Trying to ignore her growling stomach, Xiao sits on the edge of a skyscraper looking over the city. She tries to eat the ambient energy in the air, but it's disgusting. "Phew, what a piece of, it's dry and chewy, it's awful," she complains. She misses the fresh energy of the university students. But every time she tries to relax, Tianyu's face pops into her head again. "What's wrong with me? Why think about such unlucky things?" she cries out. She starts to feel uneasy, wondering if that hunter is going to jump out of nowhere. Rewinding to a few hours ago, Tianyu was walking through the same seedy part of town. The breath of monsters is filled everywhere, which is really disgusting. She thinks, ignoring the creeps trying to hit on her. She senses something wrong and immediately jumps into action. She realizes some demon is expanding the maliciousness of the men in the area and shuts it down instantly. After saving a girl named Pingping, Tianyu is hailed as a hero by the locals. She quickly heads to a nearby hotel, but the soundproofing is terrible. She can hear everything happening in the other rooms. "Really shameless," she mutters, trying to focus on her mission. She didn't come here to be a knight in shining armor, she's looking for someone. Back on the balcony, Tianyu is lost in thought when she realizes something is missing. When was this starving ghost silent? She wonders. Suddenly, a familiar scream pierces the night air. Xiao comes tumbling out of nowhere, looking like a total mess. Tianyu leans over the railing, completely stunned. I knew it, how did you come out of there? She demands, while Hai Yao just hangs there, caught in the act of being a total disaster. Our girl isn't playing around today. She confronts the blue-haired devil, asking what she's planning this time. She demands the succubus leave the neighbor alone, even going as far as to partially freeze her in ice. The devil is absolutely mortified, blushing as our girl points out that the entire building probably heard her shouting. But the succubus isn't deterred for long, clinging to our girl's back and calling her anomalous. Our heroine has had enough and pins her against the wall with a lethal glare. Whenever you dare to think badly about that woman, I'll blast you to death, she threatens, her voice cold as ice. The devil just scoffs, mocking her superhero cosplay and calling her cheap. Suddenly, the blue-haired girl gets a bright idea. She realizes our girl is just worried about her hurting humans and gets way too excited about it. She leans in close, suggesting a scandalous deal. Why don't you, the great exorcist, dedicate yourself to be my long-term meal ticket? Our girl looks skeptical, but she's clearly considering the offer. The succubus teases her for being so innocent while knowing so much about her kind. Our girl finally bites, asking if the devil will stop eating others if she agrees. But she doesn't trust the word of a devil. You and I sign a familiar contract to show your sincerity, she declares, taking charge of the situation. The devil hesitates, not wanting to be a running dog for food. Seeing her hesitate, our girl doesn't waste time and literally kicks her out of the room. Wait, let me know what the contract is about first. The succubus screams, grabbing our girl's hand before she can leave. Our heroine explains that she'll be responsible for keeping the devil alive as long as humanity isn't harmed. The devil fakes some tears, acting pitiful, and suggests a specific rule. They can't be more than 3 meters apart. She thinks she's being clever, hoping to limit our girl's freedom with the contract. She figures she can go wherever she wants, and if she isn't fed, it's a breach of contract on our girl's end. Do you dare? She challenges. Our heroine doesn't hesitate, biting her own lip and then the devil's neck to seal the deal. Blood spills as the contract takes hold. As the ritual completes, their very souls are linked together. The devil warns her that whoever breaks the contract will die immediately, leaving our girl looking a bit stressed. Hai Yao is lounging back, taunting our girl about how she's just a marginalized demon who couldn't possibly have the info she's looking for. What kind of information could I know? She scoffs, a wicked smile playing on her lips as she mocks the idea that she's anything more than a tool for Xiao. She can practically smell the conflict on our heroine, teasing her for having to suppress her disgust just to play along in this little game. Hai Yao leans in close, her red eyes glowing with pure mischief. Shall I take a little peek into your privacy? She asks, suggesting a little mind-reading session. She stops herself, claiming it would be immoral and make Xiao angry, though we all know she's just being a tease. Ultimately, she decides the risk of checking a human's memory is too high and tells herself to forget it. But let's be real, curiosity killed the cat, and Hai Yao is dying to know why our girl only told half the truth at the KTV. Unable to resist, she decides to just take a look and uses her magic to dive straight into Xiao's consciousness. But then a flickering screen appears showing a superhero cartoon. It's a memory of our girl as a tiny kid, telling a nun she wants to fly around and knock down all the bad guys just like her favorite hero. It's honestly adorable, but the demon avatar in the corner is absolutely dying of laughter at how childish the dream is. Suddenly, the sweet memory cracks like glass. The nun's face twists into a mask of pure hatred, screaming that Xiao Yu is an ominous child who must be destroyed to save the nursery. Our poor girl is being choked, crying out that she'll eat her carrots and won't be picky anymore if they just stop. Just as things look their darkest, a massive gust of wind blows the evil nun away. Xiao Yu looks up through her tears to see a winged figure silhouetted against the moon. Her very own superhero has arrived. Wait, is that Hai Yao? Little Xiao Yu finds her hero lounging in a tree and begs to join her team. Hai Yao is totally confused, but she doesn't correct the kid when she's called a superhero. She just smirks, realizing this human brat has some serious guts for coming to a place where the birds don't even s***t. Adult Xiao, watching this from the sidelines, is absolutely mortified to realize her childhood idol was actually this annoying demon all along. The trip down memory lane continues as Xiao Yu gets lost and asks a random uncle for help finding her way home. He acts all nice, leading her down a dark, eerie alley, but he's actually a total creep planning to sell her off to pay his gambling debts. Thankfully, a succubus captain appears, revealing his disgusting thoughts before putting the trash-tier human into a never-ending nightmare. She officially recruits our girl into the Obsidian team, and Xiao Yu is more than ready for her first flight. They head back to the secret base, flying over scenes of monsters that are definitely not for the faint of heart. The other demons at the base are shocked the captain brought home a human snack, but she shuts them down immediately, telling them it's none of their business. Adult Xiao is losing her mind in the background, screaming at her younger self for being an idiot who can't tell the difference between people and monsters. But little Xiao Yu isn't as helpless as she looks. She lands like a pro, her shadow revealing a darkness that matches the monsters around her. Hai Yao finally catches up to the current memory, impressed by the new world she's discovered inside Tianyu's head. But our girl isn't having it, telling her to get out while they fend off manifestations of her inner turmoil. Suddenly, a pained groan echoes through the room as our girl begins to toss and turn in her sleep. She's clearly trapped in a nightmare, gasping for air as her body contorts in pain. Beside her, the demon girl's eyes snap open, glowing with an eerie, unnatural light as she senses something is very wrong. She looks around the darkened room, her expression a mix of confusion and alarm as the atmosphere grows heavy. But before our heroine can even scream, a dark shadow looms over her, and a cold hand slams down to muffle her cries. A terrifying surge of pink energy is ripped from the scene, swirling like a spectral ribbon in the air. As the dark force retreats into the shadows, it leaves behind a trail of shimmering mist that slowly dissipates. Our girl bolts upright in bed, her face pale and drenched in cold sweat. She gasps, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. Suddenly, the demon girl collapses onto the bed, burying her face in the blankets and wailing in total distress. I know I'm wrong, she sobs, trembling from head to toe. She begs for mercy, claiming she was temporarily obsessed with ghosts and never meant to hurt a human being. Our girl is absolutely floored by this sudden 180, managed only a confused WH. I was wrong. The girl keeps chanting, making a massive scene in the middle of the night. Finally reaching her breaking point, our heroine shoves her back. Who the hell is this? She screams, her patience thinner than a sheet of paper. The girl begs her to wait, but our heroine is already winding up a punch, ready to end this drama right now. A heavy silence falls over the room as they stare each other down. Sorry. A tiny, pathetic voice whispers from the pillows. The demon girl looks up with big, watery eyes, mumbling, I didn't mean to hurt you. I just want you to sleep a little longer. Our girl isn't buying this innocent act for a single second. Do I still have to thank you for not killing me? She roars, lunging forward and grabbing the girl by her collar. I'm asking you, who was the guy who told you to apologize like that just now? The demon girl just stares back, her red eyes wide and unblinking, offering no answers. Our heroine tightens her grip, her voice dripping with ice. She grabs the girl's face, forcing her to look her in the eye. That is, she demands, waiting for the truth. Mother, the girl finally whispers, looking completely broken. You're lying. Our girl snaps, but the demon girl counters by asking where she thinks her body came from if she didn't have a mother. Our girl points out that her body was stolen through murder, but the demon girl just sighs, looking defeated. All right, I really don't have the right to refute, she mutters. She swears to God that she didn't intend to take over our girl's body permanently just now. She goes on to explain that the essence of a devil is actually just a collection of magic power. If that power isn't combined with a physical body, it will eventually disperse into nothingness. Our heroine realizes that if an intruder had entered the room, she would have felt the magical fluctuation. That is to say, it's been in this body since the beginning. She realizes the shock hitting her like a freight train. She pins the girl down again, demanding another fight to force mother out of her. Didn't you strangle me like that? She yells, reminding the brat of her earlier aggression. She accuses the girl of pretending to be harmless just because she's afraid of her superiors. What did she instruct you to do? Our heroine demands, wanting to know how the fearsome Master Xiao became such a foolish person. Xiao looks genuinely lost, her eyes darting around as she tries to find the words. I'm not sure now, she admits softly. She confesses that she saw memories of an unrestrained, powerful Xiao in our girl's mind. Your memories and feelings are so real and clear, I don't think it's fake, she says. But I also clearly remember all the details of my 30 years of hard work in the city, she adds, leaving our girl speechless. They both stare at each other, wondering whose memory is the lie. You've been in the city for 30 years? Our girl asks, her skepticism reaching an all-time high. So the Xiao I saw 16 years ago is fake? Xiao insists she's telling the truth, flashing back to when she first arrived and saw big, boxy computers and brick-sized phones. She recalls serving tea in the red light district because she had zero skills and no money. She worked as a bartender in a speakeasy and even as a masseuse for some very scary-looking guys. She spent years cleaning hotels and even hauling heavy bags at construction sites alongside the men. I even managed to get a university account last month. She cheers, showing off a document like it's a gold medal. She looks at our girl with tears in her eyes. Do you want to say that all the hardships I have suffered are fake? She cries. Our girl just stares at her cold as a winter morning. Are you finished? She asks. Xiao blinks, her jaw dropping. Is that all the jobs you know? Kinda boring. Our heroine yawns, clearly unimpressed. Xiao loses it, screaming that she can prove it because all her old bosses and regular customers know her. Do I have to cut my head open and show you? She yells in desperation. Our heroine just looks at her with narrowed eyes. Where do you have the courage to shout so loudly? She asks before grabbing her by the throat once more. How stupid do you think I am? Will I believe in a demon who is repeatedly put to death? She asks icily. The tension in the room is suffocating as our girl stares her down. She mentions that in the last 10 years, she's dealt with countless succubi, and none of them have ever heard of a Xiao. She tells the girl that if she wants to reunite with her old friends so badly, she should just go to hell. Haiyao goes silent, her eyes downcast as she processes the harsh words. She wonders if her memories were edited, and if so, who could possibly be powerful enough to do it. Ask your mother to go, our girl suggests, still digging for info on the mystery woman. She demands to know what she looks like and why she's sharing a body. Haiyao tries to picture her, but all she sees is a blurry horn silhouette. There's no name, mom is mom, she says simply. Our girl sighs, rubbing her temples. That's enough, she groans. Not a single word that comes out of your mouth is trustworthy, she mutters, though she admits she's getting used to the lies. She looks up, a sharp glint in her eyes as she reaches out and places her hand on Haiyao's forehead. But you're not completely useless, she whispers. Haiyao panics as she realizes what's happening. Mind-reading magic, she actually knows this. Don't move, our heroine commands, her voice firm. Take a good look at me, she says as her reflection shimmers in Haiyao's wide, glowing eyes. A brilliant blue aura erupts around them, swirling in the air as the mind-reading spell takes hold, connecting their consciousnesses in a blinding flash of light. The magic connection snaps, leaving both of them reeling from the mental strain. Our poor heroine clutches her head as sparks of blue energy flicker out. "Huh, what's the matter?" she asks, her brain feeling like it just went through a blender. She's genuinely confused, wondering how the session ended so abruptly. Meanwhile, our blonde lead is struggling to keep it together, her chest tightening as she realizes she pushed herself too far. Entering your mind through the contract was the easy part, she admits, staring at the glowing veins in her hand. But the sheer volume of suppressed memories was like trying to perform brain surgery with a sledgehammer. Xiao Yu just smirks, leaning in to tease her. "What's wrong? Turns out you can't handle it either. Why don't you just teach me what you know?" She sighs, complaining about her pathetic lack of magic power. "Fine then," Xiao Yu says, her eyes glowing with a sudden intensity. "How do you suggest I prove who I am?" The only way to settle this is to visit the scene of the crime. They head out into the neon-lit city where the streets are buzzing with life. Xiao Yu walks with confidence, sure that her old neighbors will recognize her. "See, I'm telling the truth, everyone is so warm to me today," she brags as people start waving. "They're all greeting me." She cheers, but her smile fades when she hears someone shout, "Little sister, thank you for the help." Except the crowd completely ignores her and swarms our blonde lead instead. "It was you who took down that creep Jian, wasn't it?" They shout, offering her jobs as a bodyguard and shoving business cards into her hands. Xiao Yu is absolutely losing it. "Are you actually such a social cow?" she screams, feeling invisible. She corners a shop owner, demanding, "I eat at your place all the time, don't you remember me?" The man just looks at her like she's a crazy drunk. "Who are you? Get away from my store," he barks. Every rejection feels like a literal dagger to her heart. "See, this is the truth," the blonde lead says coldly. "Maybe all your vivid memories are just a dream someone fed you." Xiao Yu refuses to believe it, insisting that no dream could be this clear. But as they hit up the hotel and the local clubs, the result is always the same. Nobody has a clue who she is. She eventually collapses on the pavement in total despair. "I struggled so hard, I saved every penny," she sobs, her world crumbling. "Wait at the bank, we can check my salary statements." But when they pull up the records, the blonde lead shows her the screen. "There's only one card in your name, and it was opened recently with a single massive deposit." Xiao Yu stares at her phone, her hands trembling. The transaction history is a nightmare, nothing matches her memory. She looks like a literal ghost of herself, whispering, "How did this change?" "Are you really willing to keep living like this?" the blonde lead asks, stepping into her personal space. "Why do other succubi live so freely while you live like a down-and-out dog?" She gets inches from Xiao Yu's face, her voice dripping with provocation. "Who took your life and treated you like a pawn? Don't you want to take it back?" She reaches out a hand, offering a way out of the lie. Xiao Yu hesitates for only a second. "Of course I want to find the truth," she declares, firmly grabbing her hand. Back at cafe, they start sorting through the mystery. Xiao Yu's notes are a mess of questions about Father William and her missing decade. "So you think I've been a ghost for 10 years, she asks. She explains how her ordinary life felt so real until it suddenly merged with reality last month. "How did you even know I was the Haiyao you remembered?" she asks, setting her phone down. "It's simple," the blonde lead replies, gesturing to the empty plates. "Your magic, your combat skills, and that excited expression you had when you invaded my consciousness, those can't be faked." Xiao Yu buries her face in her hands, remembering her restless mood and the dark energy that used to consume her. In her memories, she was a predator, only thinking about getting rid of anyone in her way. "Maybe you were just inspired by the tyrannical instinct of your past self," the blonde lead suggests. Xiao Yu looks guilty, realizing she might have raised this girl to be a killer. "What's with that disgusting expression?" the lead asks, noticing Xiao Yu's face. "Don't tell me you're repenting." Xiao Yu immediately gets defensive. "Strictly speaking, it's not my fault, I just don't want to reopen your scars." "Don't be so hypocritical," the blonde lead snaps. "Can you really write off what you've done just because you forgot it?" She stands up, her eyes cold. "If you really want to do your best, you should find the murderer who left these scabs on my back. Let her pay the price." Xiao Yu is stunned into silence. "Let's go, we're going back to where it all started." With a massive pair of wings, the blonde lead takes to the sky, carrying Xiao Yu with her. They land at an old, weathered building. Is this the nursery where it all began? Xiao Yu asks. She remembers a nun who suddenly tried to kill her out of nowhere. You said she fled, but how could an earthbound spirit who's been here for 200 years just leave? The lead asks suspiciously. Xiao Yu's stomach growls loudly, ruining the dramatic moment. I used to devour the dead to satisfy my hunger here, she admits sheepishly. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the air. Be specific. They spin around to see a woman standing there looking shocked. Is that you, Xiao Yu? She asks, staring at our heroine. She stands beneath a portrait of Daisy Bridge, demanding to know why Xiao Yu has suddenly come back after all these years. The president is getting all sentimental, watching our girl Xiao Yu grow up. She's been worried sick all these years, but Xiao Yu finally came back on her own. And she didn't come alone. The president thinks she brought a good friend. But Xiao Yu is quick to shut that down. Not friends, she snaps, while our cheeky familiar teases her about being college classmates who shared a bed. The president just laughs it off, thinking they're very close. Things take a serious turn when the president mentions Father William. Apparently, the priest's death hit our girl hard. Our familiar is immediately on high alert, demanding to know who this guy was. The president explains that William adopted Xiao Yu when she was only 6 years old. This sends our familiar into a total brain spiral. Why would a priest adopt her just to make her sad? Is this some family drama or a love-hate relationship? All that thinking makes our familiar starving. While the president goes to find the archive keys, the familiar decides it's snack time. Hey, I'm hungry, she whispers, getting way too close for comfort. Xiao Yu is panicking. They're literally in the president's house. But the familiar won't take no for an answer, reminding her of the contract. Just as the president is walking back up the stairs, our girl is forced to provide a meal right then and there. Xiao Yu can't help but let out a muffled groan as the familiar bites down. Are you a grumpy puppy? The familiar teases as they barely manage to pull apart before the door opens. The president returns with the archives, totally oblivious to the spicy tension in the room. The familiar pretends she's just sleepy to explain her disheveled state. They open the old photo album and things get creepy fast. Little Xiao Yu used to play alone, but she was happily facing the air. She wasn't alone though. She claimed her friend was a nun from a portrait, Sister Tyria, who died in a fire decades ago. This spooked the president so much she called in Father William. Xiao Yu is stunned to learn the priest was watching her from afar long before the adoption. It took 2 years of formalities just to take her home. Looking at his photo, our familiar can't shake the feeling that something is off. Xiao Yu looks like she's seen a ghost, and the familiar hates seeing her so uneasy. As they leave, the familiar tries to snap her out of it with a bit of distraction. Are there more important things we haven't done yet? She asks, pulling her close. Our familiar might be a handful, but she's the only one keeping Xiao Yu grounded right now. Xiao Yu is being a total tease, asking for our girl's contact info while they're practically in each other's laps. But the mood is instantly killed when the nursery director walks in, making our girl jump out of her skin. Quick as a flash, Xiao Yu turns on the waterworks, claiming she has major travel anxiety and hasn't slept in days. She's really laying it on thick with the dizzy head act. Our girl can only watch in disbelief as this master manipulator asks for a quiet place to take a break. The director falls for it hook, line, and sinker, tucking Xiao Yu into an infirmary bed and telling her she can eat in the cafeteria later. She even turns to our heroine with a worried look, telling her she needs to take better care of herself. After the director leaves with a warm squeeze of our girl's hand, the room goes quiet. Our girl stares at her hand, feeling the weight of the director's kindness. Xiao Yu, of course, can't help but smirk. She's such a nice person, isn't she? She pats the bed, telling our girl she simply can't refuse such kindness and should stay right there with her. Our girl sighs, finally giving in and kicking off her boots. Fine, but only for an hour, she mutters. She explains it would be too much trouble to explain to the president if she left immediately. But as she adjusts herself, she reveals the striking marks across her back. Xiao Yu's eyes darken as she leans in to inspect the scars. Outside, the children are playing games of magic and make-believe, completely unaware of the tension brewing behind the infirmary curtains. Suddenly, the playfulness vanishes. Xiao Yu pins our girl to the mattress, her gaze intense. She's getting dangerously close now, her tongue grazing our girl's neck. It's not the contact that makes you ashamed, is it? Xiao Yu taunts with a wicked grin. She points out how thrilling it is to expose these desires in an unfamiliar place where anyone could walk in. Our girl tries to let out a sound, but Xiao Yu's hand clamps over her mouth instantly. SHHH, be careful not to be heard, Tilda, she purrs. Our girl can only squeeze her eyes shut, trembling under the pressure. Xiao Yu tells her they're almost done and not to push herself. But then the tables turn. Our girl surges up, pinning Xiao Yu down with a fierce look in her eyes. Xiao Yu just laughs, completely unbothered. If I scream out loud, would you be more ashamed? She asks mockingly. But our girl has had enough of the games. She summons glowing blue magic chains that snap around Xiao Yu's wrists. Xiao Yu's smug expression finally falters as she realizes she's stuck. She reaches down and literally grabs Xiao Yu by the tongue. I don't think I need to listen to this tongue anymore. Even with her tongue held, Xiao Yu tries to act tough, claiming our girl will be the one who loses in the end. She reminds the bound girl that they are in a nursery and it wouldn't be right for the kids to hear her. Xiao Yu is stunned. How can a 20-year-old be this sophisticated and ruthless? But as the initial shock wears off, a twisted sense of pleasure takes over and her mind goes blank. Our girl stares down at her, lost in thought. She notes that despite the magic, this body feels so human. She wonders if someone can really be the same person if their personality and memories have completely changed. Xiao Yu snaps her out of her trance, shouting through the gag about how dare she be distracted right now. Suddenly, a memory flashes back, a younger version of our girl being trained by Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu was harsh, screaming at her to lower her center of gravity. The poor girl was exhausted, crying that she just didn't have the strength. In the memory, Xiao Yu eventually softened, taking the girl's hand as they walked through the golden woods. She praised her for hiding her footprints and warned her to keep her magic in check. Our girl bolts upright in bed, gasping. It was just a dream. She looks around frantically, seeing the empty space beside her. She rips back the curtain, only to find Xiao Yu lounging comfortably on the next bed, scrolling through her phone. You slept all afternoon, Xiao Yu chirps, calling her little sister and telling her to relax. Our girl is fuming, feeling like she wasted precious time. Xiao Yu reaches out to touch her hair, telling her she's still young. But our girl pulls away, snapping that Xiao Yu will never understand the urgency she feels. As the sun begins to set over the academy, they prepare to leave. Xiao Yu is still in a great mood, gloating about what a fulfilling weekend it's been. But their exit is blocked. Our girl stops dead in her tracks, as a mysterious woman with long hair confronts them, demanding to know why they can't just leave everyone alone. The dorm master is absolutely losing it, crossing her arms as she demands the cold, hard truth. As dorm master, I must confirm the reason for your staying out at night, she shouts, clearly not buying whatever excuse was served up. Our poor heroine Xia Yihen tries to play peacemaker, but the tension in the room is high enough to snap a guitar string. The green-haired roommate huffs, declaring she's going to be a responsible room manager from now on, while our mysterious white-haired girl, Xiao Yu, just stays glued to her computer screen like nothing is happening. The whole room falls into an awkward, heavy silence. Naturally, the drama moves to the group chat. One roommate is practically screaming through her keyboard, asking how on earth Xia Yihen could ever describe the icy Xiao Yu as tender and lovely. But Xia Yihen isn't just making things up, she has receipts from a year ago. Back when she was a shy freshman who could barely say 10 words a day, a sudden medical emergency changed everything. While the rest of the school was away on vacation, Xia Yihen was hit with a sharp, agonizing pain in her appendix. With the ambulance an hour away, she called Xiao Yu with her last bit of strength. Unexpectedly, the girl everyone thinks is a robot rushed over in 5 minutes, carried Xia Yihen to the hospital, and even covered the medical bills. Behind that stranger facade, Xia Yihen found a delicate heart. She even learned little details like how Xiao Yu secretly hates carrots and loves mangoes. When the other roommates hear this, their jaws hit the floor. Haven't you guys been roommates for a year? They ask, looking at the short-haired Hai Yao. Hai Yao looks incredibly guilty, sweating as she admits she doesn't remember a thing. The dorm master is stunned. Is this some kind of amnesia plot from a cheesy K-drama? The girls realize that Xiao Yu's constant, infatuated, and sad looks toward Hai Yao aren't random. It's all Hai Yao's fault. Reading this, Hai Yao can't take it anymore and heads to the balcony to find Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu is leaning against the railing, looking out into the night. What's wrong with you? Hai Yao asks, trying to break the ice. Xiao Yu claims she's just getting some air, but Hai Yao isn't falling for it. I could smell your mood swings, Hai Yao teases, leaning in close. When Xiao Yu tries to brush it off as a little thing, Hai Yao decides to play dirty. She gets right in Xiao Yu's space, dropping a bombshell question about how she became so proficient at certain intimate acts at such a young age. She even asks if Xiao Yu is interested in doing this every day, her face inches away. But then she laughs it off, calling Xiao Yu a dull kid for being so tense. Xiao Yu isn't in the mood for games, though. She turns the conversation back to the suspicious priest mentioned by the president. Hai Yao shrugs it off, calling him just a rich and handsome guy, but the mention of him triggers a dark memory for Xiao Yu. Years ago, Xiao Yu woke up in a hospital bed covered in bandages. A man named William, dressed as a priest, was watching over her. He told her he found her in the forest after she fell off a cliff. The young Xiao Yu broke down in tears, sobbing for someone named Hai Yao. Does she really want me? She whimpered, clutching the priest's clothes. William's expression turned cold as he asked about the big sister with horns and wings, who threw her off that cliff. Xiao Yu tried to defend her, making excuses that she slipped, but the priest wasn't having it. He told her Hai Yao was a demon, a collection of evil thoughts that torture humans for food. He insisted the demon was just using her as bait. Xiao Yu screamed that he was lying, insisting that Hai Yao would definitely come back for her. But then William revealed his true identity. He wasn't just a man of God, he was Keon William from the Exorcists Association. He had tracked the magic to that forest and found her discarded like trash, claiming the demon Xiao had simply cut her losses and run. 3 months have flown by since that fateful day, and our girl is officially adopted. She sits quietly with the priest who took her in, listening as he explains that anyone can find him through his magic. But there's a catch: she doesn't think she counts as one of those people he's talking about, feeling a bit like an outsider even now. Time passes in their new home, and one afternoon our heroine calls out, "I'm back," as she enters the house. The priest is busy in the kitchen, apron on and ladle in hand. "Ah, you're back," he says, apologizing that dinner isn't ready yet because he got a late start. But he stops cold when he sees her face. "What happened to your face?" he asks, spotting a nasty scratch. "There were some male bullies at school and I got into a fight with them," she admits. Her new dad doesn't miss a beat, teasing her about crying over a fight she clearly won against mere elementary schoolers. She huffs, sitting down in her chair. "I can beat them, but they gossip all over the school," she complains. Her voice drops as she whispers the painful truth: "They said I was a child of the devil." As he patches her up, he asks how she feels about demons now. He notes that while eating people is obviously bad, the nature of demons is a complex subject. Our girl looks up with big, hopeful eyes. Maybe there are demons who are willing to be friendly to humans? She wonders. He sighs, clearly not a fan of that naive line of thinking. "Listen to me," he says sternly, looking her in the eye. "Seeing demons as higher beings with emotions like us is a great insult to us humans." He explains that a demon is just a tool, like the fire on the stove. It can be used to kill, or it can be used to make a delicious meal. The quality of the tool is entirely up to us users, he concludes, trying to drill the lesson into her head. Suddenly, a crash from the kitchen breaks the serious mood. "Ah, the soup I made," he screams, sprinting back to save his dinner. Our girl sits there, stunned by his words. To use Xiao as a tool, she thinks to herself, unable to shake the image of her friend. The years begin to fly by as the calendar pages flutter away. We see glimpses of her training hard, learning to control the dark, swirling palace of her magic. "Calm down," her father instructs. "Imagine it flowing naturally through your body." From summer swims to cozy winters, she grows up under his watchful eye. On one special Christmas, the training reaches a fever pitch. "Control it, concentrate it to the palm," he commands. She focuses all her will and unleashes a massive burst of blue energy. "Haha, it worked," she cheers, jumping for joy. "I can transform demons into my magic power." Her dad pulls her into a tight, prideful hug. "You're the pride of my life," he declares. She snuggles into his sweater, thinking, what a comforting smell. I really hope this happy time can last forever. But the dream is haunted by a dark premonition of blood and a demon's shadow. A vision of her father, covered in blood and broken, flashes before us. A gravestone in the rain marks a tragic end in May 2012. Back in the present, our girl walks into a chillingly silent house. "I'm back, father," she calls out, but the kitchen is empty and the lights are low. Panic starts to set in as she realizes the routine is broken. Normally, the meal is served at this time. She drops her school bag in shock as a terrible realization hits her. She senses a massive, violent fluctuation in the priest's magic nearby. "Damn, I have a bad feeling, I have to go and help," she screams, sprinting out of the house and toward the source of the power. She arrives at a hidden cave to find a brutal battle already underway. A demon girl is clashing violently with her father. Her jaw drops in pure horror. "Xiao," she gasps, recognizing the demon. The demon girl turns, her eyes cold and predatory as she recognizes our heroine. Magic explodes around them as the two powerhouses collide. Xiao is momentarily forced back, bound by glowing chains of holy light. "Stay away from it," her father roars, his face bruised and dripping with blood. "Have you forgotten what I taught you?" he demands, desperate to keep her safe. Our girl is crying, her heart breaking as she sees her two worlds at war. But Xiao is different," she pleads, refusing to believe her friend is just a tool. Suddenly, the demon shatters the light chains and lunges forward. Before anyone can react, Xiao grabs our girl, using her as a human shield. "Long time no see, little girl Tilda," she purrs with a dark smile. "Why don't you guys stop fighting?" Our heroine sobs, her voice trembling. "If there is any misunderstanding, please speak up." But Xiao just snarls, "Shut up," and tightens her grip on our girl's throat. "If you don't want to die, just wait for me," the demon warns her. She turns her lethal gaze back to the priest. "You are distracted," she sneers, sensing his hesitation now that his daughter is in danger. With a devastating strike, the demon lunges forward. Her father is sent crashing into the stone wall with a sickening thud. "Father," she screams in agony. Xiao stands over the fallen priest, looking down at him. "You are very strong. I would like to save your life and fight a few more times." But sorry," she says, her claws glowing with a murderous light. "You must die now," she declares, swinging down for the kill. But our girl isn't letting that happen. She breaks free and throws herself directly in the path of the attack. The demon's claws tear through our heroine's back instead, blood splattering across the floor. She collapses into her father's arms, gasping for breath as her blood soaks into his robes. Don't kill him, please, please. She whimpers, her voice fading from the pain. Yao freezes in midair, her eyes wide with shock as she looks down at the bleeding girl. "We," she stammers, the word friend dying on her lips. Our heroine looks up, tears streaming down her face. "Aren't you, friend, let my dad go, okay, Yao?" The demoness stares back, her eyes wide with a mix of shock and something far more sinister as she hears the name Yao whispered. "Ah, it's annoying, stop chattering to me." She screams, clutching her head as if the very sound of her own name is a physical assault. Our poor heroine's world is literally falling apart as a dark hand reaches out, snatching the terrified young boy by the throat. Blood sprays the air in a sickening arc as Yao finally snaps, her claws tearing through the priest, Keen Williams, with zero hesitation. The young boy can only watch in absolute horror, his face splattered with the blood of the man he loved, the cross around his neck a silent witness to the carnage. Yao doesn't just stop at a graze, she drives her hand straight through the priest's chest, a twisted maniacal laugh escaping her lips as she relishes the kill. "Are you satisfied now?" a voice asks as the light fades from a brilliant blue eye now clouded by the shadows of death. The priest's body is cast aside, tumbling into a void of darkness as the scene shifts to the cold, clinical reality of a hospital. "How is it now? Is she still refusing to speak?" One voice asks over the steady drip of an Roman 4 bag. "It's been the same story since she arrived. She's physically stable, but her mind is a fortress. The doctors are doing what they can, pumping her with antibiotics to prevent infection, but they can't heal a shattered spirit." The psychiatrist's verdict is grim. Her spirit was so traumatized that she's retreated into a self-enclosed state, and only she can decide when to come back to reality. But she's not too unlucky. At any rate, she inherited such a large fortune, one staff member remarks with a hint of jealousy. But another quickly shuts them down, whispering, "SHHH, don't say such sarcastic remarks. No matter how much money she has, she can't get her father back." As our girl lies there, a shell of her former self, the television in the corner blares a breaking news report. A massive fire has broken out at the Newton Villa, a house that was supposed to be uninhabited. The reporter's voice cuts through the room like a knife. "It is reported that the head of the household is named as Keen Williams. He was found dead earlier this month, and the news of the local priest's demise has the whole community in mourning." Xiao Yu's eyes snap open, her heart hammering against her ribs as she realizes the house being swallowed by flames is her home. She doesn't care about the Roman 4 or her recovery. She throws herself out of bed, the equipment clattering to the floor. She rips the needle from her hand, blood blooming on her skin as she ignores the pain. "Xiao, you can't get out of bed yet." The nurses scream, but it's too late. A sudden violent gust of wind erupts from nowhere, sending the hospital staff flying backward like ragdolls. "Is this hospital haunted?" Someone yells in terror as the invisible force clears a path for her. She's a blur of desperation, sprinting through the dark city streets, her lungs burning with every breath. In the distance, the orange glow of the inferno paints the sky, a beacon of her greatest nightmare. Her eyes begin to glow with an eerie golden light, the trauma triggering a power she can barely contain. She reaches the police line, her heart shattering as she hears the bystanders whispering, "Where did the child go?" The police try to hold the crowd back, shouting that the temperature is too high and the building is a death trap. "Captain, the temperature won't drop. What the hell is burning?" A fireman yells, unable to get close to the unnatural heat. Xiao tries to break through the line, her small frame no match for the officers who grab her. "Nuo," she screams, a sound of pure agony that chills everyone to the bone. She collapses to her knees, sobbing as the last of her childhood home turns to ash before her eyes. The memory fades, pulling us back to the present where the tension is thick enough to cut with a blade. "Then why are you still alive?" Yao asks, her voice dripping with a cold, calculated curiosity. Our heroine's eyes flash with fury. "You mean I should be dead?" she barks back. Yao sighs, trying to play it off as a misunderstanding, reminding her that she was the only one found alive, covered in blood near the hospital. "Strictly speaking, no one actually saw who put me there," our girl points out, her fist clenching. Yao smirks, leaning in close. "Then there is no need to ask. It must be me. It seems I still had feelings for you at that time." "Feelings?" Our heroine screams, the word tasting like poison. She reminds the demoness of the time she was thrown off a cliff and abandoned for years without a single visit. "In the end, no matter how much I begged, they didn't answer me. Is this what you call feelings?" Yao quickly clamps a hand over her mouth, her expression darkening. "SHHH, are you going to wake everyone up?" They take the argument outside to the basketball court, the moonlight casting long, jagged shadows. Yao tries to defend herself, claiming it's unfair that she isn't even given a chance to speak. But our girl isn't buying it. "You still talk to me about fairness? Even if someone instructed you, you were obviously sober at the time. Killing the priest was entirely your own choice," she continues, her voice breaking, "and you even were laughing at him. The memory of that twisted smile as her father died is a wound that will never heal." "I can't stand you. If I die, the clues will be broken." Yao shouts back, clutching her head in frustration. But then her tone shifts, softened by a sudden realization. "Who said I'm going to kill you?" Our heroine stands there trembling, her resolve crumbling into tears. Every time I get involved with you, I don't look like myself, she sobs, covering her face. It's your fault, I became like this because of you. She's hysterical now, the weight of years of trauma finally boiling over. Suddenly, the world goes quiet as Hai Yao pulls her into a firm, unexpected hug. Say no more, well I know it all. Hai Yao whispers, her voice surprisingly tender. She tells our girl that she's just been confused and sad for too long after being abandoned. Doesn't this also mean that you can't completely hate me? Hai Yao asks, tilting our heroine's chin up to face her. She challenges her to be honest with herself, claiming that deep down, she still depends on the very person who broke her. I said, kid, wouldn't it be better to be honest with yourself? A voice echoes. Because in the depths of those memories, it's clear that despite the blood and the fire, she still loves her very much. Hai Yao leans in, her voice dripping with a challenge as she tells our girl to finally be honest with herself. She knows our heroine can't just erase the past or the way she used to depend on her. Our girl clenches her teeth, struggling with the weight of those words as the memories start to flood back. Deep down, she knows that the years between 4 and 6 are when a child's values are set in stone, and Hai Yao's influence was like a permanent ink on her soul. Even if she tries her best to move on, that connection remains an inseparable part of her life. Suddenly, a flashy demon girl appears, yawning as if this whole confrontation is just a massive bore. I told you I don't know who that Hai Yao is. Why are you still chasing me? She complains. She tries to play it cool, worried about getting her fancy new clothes dirty, but our girl isn't playing games. She launches herself into the air with a jump that defies gravity, her fist glowing with a surge of power. With a determined shout, she lands a direct, magical hit right on the demon's face. But this demon is trickier than she looks, catching our girl in a mockingly sweet embrace instead of falling. Oh my, sorry, Tilda, she chirps, but there's a dangerous glint in her eyes as she pins our heroine down. She starts digging into our girl's mind, taunting her about the privacy she just invaded. I see, you've been suffering all this time, haven't you? She whispers, twisting the knife about being betrayed by her idol. Our girl screams internally, begging her not to look at those painful memories, but the demon just grins. It's all right now, she promises, I'll show you a new world of bliss. The world fades into a suffocating darkness, leaving our girl wandering through a pitch-black void. Just as she's about to lose hope, a familiar, sharp voice cuts through the silence. It's Hai Yao, and she looks absolutely livid. You little brat, how dare you disappear without saying hello to me? She yells. Our girl can barely believe her eyes, stammering out Hai Yao's name in shock. She thought she was the one who had been abandoned, but Hai Yao pulls her close and shouts, how could I ever abandon you? You're my most important treasure. The dam finally breaks, and our girl begins to sob uncontrollably. I thought you really didn't want me anymore. She wails, clinging to Hai Yao like her life depends on it. She's terrified that this is all just a cruel dream that will vanish the moment she opens her eyes. Hai Yao just gives her a firm, reassuring boop, asking if the physical touch and the pain feel fake to her. Just stay in my arms and close your eyes, Hai Yao whispers, you don't have to think about anything else. Fast forward to a much sunnier morning and our girl is all grown up, humming a tune in a beautiful kitchen. She's brewing some tea when Hai Yao sneaks up behind her for a sweet morning kiss. But the romance is short-lived when Hai Yao takes a sip and immediately makes a face. Ugh, so bitter, I really don't understand why you humans drink this, she complains. Our girl just laughs, teasing her by asking, am I not your most important baby now? Hai Yao smirks, pulling her closer and purring, now you're my most important breakfast. The atmosphere gets heavy with tension as they share an intimate moment against the counter. Hai Yao promises a reward if she's satisfied, but our girl decides to be a bit cunning and nips at Hai Yao's neck. You actually bit me, Hai Yao exclaims, clearly surprised by the bold move. They bicker like a long-married couple until a crash echoes through the room. Our girl's favorite tea set is shattered on the floor, and she's absolutely devastated. It's a Victorian antique, where can you even buy another one? She cries out, heartbroken. But as she looks at the broken porcelain, a chilling memory of a man holding that same cup flashes through her mind. She looks around the villa, a sudden realization hitting her like a ton of bricks. Where did this house even come from, and why does the layout feel so strange? Hai Yao notices her distraction, trying to pull her back to reality by asking about her earrings, but the seed of doubt has already been planted. What nonsense are you talking about? She snaps, completely oblivious to the terror brewing in the room. She claims she always wears her earring on the right, but our girl isn't buying the act. Then explain to me, the blood on your hands, our girl demands, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and fury. Suddenly, the room shifts, and a literal succubus is looming over our poor heroine. Ah, Tilda is this expression, the demon purrs, savoring the taste of human despair. She tells our girl to stop struggling because there's no escaping this nightmare. But then the demon's smug face drops. She's burning through magic at an impossible rate, and she can't figure out why. How did you break free from my mind control? She shrieks in disbelief. Our girl cries out for her father, her sheer willpower shattering the demon's illusions. The succubus panics as her magic begins to unravel on its own. She gets blasted back, realizing too late that she's picked the wrong target. My magic power will be sucked dry by this girl, She screams as our heroine unintentionally turns into a magical vacuum. The demon hits the pavement hard. A mysterious voice rings out, telling our girl to stop before her body breaks under the pressure. But our heroine is beyond reason, her eyes glowing with a terrifying intensity. The priest was right. You demons are all bastards who only play with people's hearts. She yells, clutching her head as the false memories tear at her mind. She screams that she doesn't need any of it and collapses in a burst of red energy. She's hurting, she's tired, and honestly, she's just done with everything. As white doves begin to circle the alley, she whispers a heartbreaking plea. Somebody kill me, let me go see Daddy. Enter a new player, a sharp-dressed woman in a suit who looks like she just walked off a secret agent set. She's not here to kill our girl though, she just wants to collect the excess magic. When our heroine keeps begging for death, the agent just sighs. Let me help you out, she says, reaching out to extract the overflowing power. For a moment, our girl drifts in a warm, weightless void, thinking this is finally the end. Not as painful as I imagined, she muses, ready to join her father. But then bam, she's yanked back to reality, screaming her head off. She is absolutely livid that she was saved. The agent isn't moved by the tantrum. Killing innocent people is not the justice I seek, she states calmly. She unleashes a massive pillar of light to stabilize the area, reminding our girl that this city is her jurisdiction. Our heroine realizes this woman is some kind of high-level exorcist. The agent gives her a harsh reality check. Why is a primary school kid hanging out in the red light district fighting succubi? She tells our girl to quit this dangerous business immediately. Is this what your dead loved ones expected? She asks, hitting our heroine right where it hurts. Our girl breaks down, admitting that she knows the truth, but she has nowhere to put her rage. If she can't find the demon Xiao, who is going to pay for the priest's deaths? We see a flash of the past, a betrayal by someone she once cared for. It was my soft heart for you that killed him, the woman in the memory says with a chilling smile. She claims they are both murderers now, and she's long since thrown away her feelings. Back at the dorms, Xiao is just trying to get through her morning routine when she realizes she's being watched. Her roommate, the icy exorcist Xiao Yu, is busy drying her hair, but the atmosphere is thick enough to cut with a knife. Suddenly, their dark-haired friend creeps up with a smirk, asking, "Did you guys go out on a date again tonight?" Our girl Xiao nearly jumps out of her skin, screeching, "W what a date," while her face turns a shade of red that would put a beat to shame. She finally sighs, admitting she might as well tell the truth since keeping secrets in this room is impossible. The room goes dead silent for a moment as the gravity of the situation sinks in. "Why did you fight?" the friend demands, her voice way too loud for comfort. Xiao desperately tries to shush her, explaining that it wasn't exactly a fight, mostly because she never stands a chance to talk back anyway. To prove her point, Xiao Yu decides that words are overrated and delivers a swift, brutal punch right to Xiao's gut. "Hurry up and get dressed," the cold-hearted exorcist commands, acting like she didn't just assault her roommate. "I'm going to class." As Xiao begrudgingly changes, her friend watches the pair with a look of pure confusion. There is a weird, lingering tension that she can't quite put her finger on. Even as they head out, the friend's gaze remains fixed on them, sensing that something fundamental has shifted. On the walk to class, she whispers to her companion, "Hey, do you feel like Xiao Yu's attitude towards Xiao has changed?" The glasses-wearing tech girl of the group doesn't see it at first, noting that our girl looks pretty relaxed today. But the dark-haired friend isn't buying it, calling her a nerd and insisting that the lack of physical violence is actually a bad sign. This shows that there is a distance between them. She cries out, convinced the spark of their rivalry, or whatever it was, is fading. She complains that the physical distance is getting way too tight for comfort. "You heartless tech girl, it really doesn't make sense," she rants while Xiao and Xiao Yu walk ahead, completely oblivious to the fangirling happening behind them. Xiao, however, is busy overthinking. She's been up half the night wrestling with a secret. She turns to the blonde exorcist and mutters, "There is something better to tell you," but stops herself. "Then you first promise not to get angry with me," she pleads. Xiao Yu doesn't even blink, coldly stating that there's no point in being angry with someone who has amnesia. Xiao finally bites the bullet and brings up Topa, the mysterious woman from the KTV incident. Xiao Yu stops, her expression softening into something almost vulnerable. She admits she was scared when Xiao was honest the day before. "You have lived for nearly 100 years anyway," she muses. "How could you trust a stranger so easily?" She knows deep down that Xiao is a demon who views humans as mere objects, and her own paranoia is just a product of her refusal to let go of the past. Her mind drifts to the priest, the man who was both her mentor and father figure. She clutches her cross, determined to find an explanation for everything he did. She insists that they can't let personal emotions destroy the cooperative relationship they've built. Then she drops a speculation that leaves Xiao's jaw on the floor. "Topa is my mother who has no face in my memory." Our girl's brain practically short-circuits. "How did God come to this conclusion after I left for a while?" She screams internally, completely baffled by the logic. She grabs Xiao Yu's arm, demanding to know who this mama is and if Topa is actually a grandma. She thinks back to how Topa helped her transfer schools, and even though she wasn't exactly kind while Hai Yao stayed at her house, she still handed over a cool $100,000 the moment she arrived. Hai Yao wonders if that was Topa's way of being charitable, even though it feels totally out of character. She lunges at Hai Yao, and soon the two are nothing but a comical cloud of dust and flying limbs. I thought you said you wouldn't get mad, Hai Yao yelps from inside the brawl. Tianyu isn't having it, screaming that being honest doesn't excuse being an asshole. Should I also kiss your feet? She yells while the fight reaches a fever pitch. Eventually they pull apart, Hai Yao gasping for air while Tianyu looks like she's ready to explode. This is why I can't freaking stand you, the exorcist screams, her face flushed with rage. A heavy, awkward silence falls over them as they catch their breath. Hai Yao looks at her, realizing she might have been a bit too harsh with her timing. She tentatively reaches out, touching Tianyu's hair. Hey, are you angry at yourself now? She asks softly. Stop trying to be cute, Tianyu snaps, shoving her away. She tries to regain her composure, insisting that the only reason they are working together is for information and nothing more. She claims she can change her attitude if it's a problem, but she won't excuse Hai Yao's lies. Hai Yao looks genuinely hurt, her red eyes wavering. She stares at Tianyu's hand on her chest, realizing that the only way forward is to find the truth. Well then, she whispers, the only thing to do is to find Topa so she can prove I'm innocent. Tianyu is skeptical, pointing out that Hai Yao just said the woman was untraceable. Are you just going to keep lying? She demands, grabbing Hai Yao's arm. Our girl tells her to slow down, gently taking her hand. She explains that Topa is a shapeshifter with deep connections in high society, making her impossible for a normal person to find. But I'm not anyone, Hai Yao says with a sudden flash of confidence. She admits it's still like finding a needle in a haystack, considering she's never actually tried to look for her before. Fast forward to their actual class, and the setting is as mundane as it gets. Hai Yao is bored out of her mind, leaning over to whisper, why are we just sitting here? She asks why a licensed exorcist is even bothered with school when they should be hunting for leads. She glances at Tianyu's notebook and sees detailed sketches of a literal bazooka. Are you studying mechanics to make weapons out of us demons? She asks, horrified. Tianyu doesn't even look up, telling her not to worry because she's not like the others. Hai Yao feels a tiny spark of warmth, thinking maybe she's special. I'd never make a weapon out of you, Tianyu continues. Hai Yao's heart flutters for a microsecond. Until the punchline hits, you don't have powers, you would make a terrible weapon. You're so evil, Hai Yao sobs, clutching her chest while Tianyu remains perfectly stoic. She threatens to cancel their contract and find Topa alone. But before the drama can escalate, Tianyu shoves her phone in Hai Yao's face. It's an announcement for a high society masquerade party held by the Sea-Leveler Holdings Group at the Grand Hotel. This is it, Hai Yao realizes, her eyes lighting up. An invite-only gathering for the elite. She's sure to be there, she exclaims, and just like that, our girls have a new mission. Our girl is having a total meltdown because apparently trying to hook up with billionaires is harder than it looks on TV. She's convinced that neither of them will even make it past the front door. I have my ways, she claims, but her face says she's one step away from a panic attack. Our heroine suggests getting fake invites and just getting rid of anyone who stands in their way, which has her friend wondering where on earth she learned these shady tactics. Suddenly, a voice cuts through their plotting. I wouldn't do that if I were you, an elegant lady warns, appearing out of nowhere. She explains that every invitation has a unique chip and serial number, meaning a DIY fake is out of the question. Our pink-streaked girl watches in awe as this mystery woman starts working some high-tech magic on a circuit board. How do I know? The lady smiles, practically glowing with divine energy. It turns out she didn't need to fake anything, she was actually invited. Our girls immediately start worshipping her like she's their ticket to the promised land. But before the party comes the mandatory makeover montage. Our pink-streaked girl is struggling in a silver dress, complaining that it's incredibly uncomfortable. You can't even walk in this, she huffs, looking like a disgruntled tinsel fairy. Meanwhile, our poor heroine is trying on a strapless gown and feels like it's a bit too much skin for her liking. The others, however, are absolutely living for it. The shopping spree continues as they are shoved into outfit after outfit. From sleek blue silks to custom-tailored suits, the fashion show never ends. While the girls are changing, the heiress and her friend share a quiet moment on the sofa. The friend is hesitant to buy a dress because the price tag is enough to cause a hard adjustment. Even when the heiress offers to pay, her friend points out that once you put on the clothes, you need the manners and speech to match. Things money can't buy. It's a rare moment of grounded reality before the heiress demands a list of fancy restaurants by Friday. We'll take all of them, the heiress declares, dropping the black card like it's nothing. Our girl is horrified when she sees the number of zeros on the receipt. But the heiress isn't worried about the cash. She knows the most important thing to have is the right invitation. She hands them over and the real mission is finally a go. The party is as high society as it gets, with long red carpets and more champagne than a wedding. But our girls aren't there for the small talk. They've been to event after event and still haven't found the person they're looking for. I'm trying to focus here, don't distract me. Our Pink Street girl snaps, though she's clearly reaching her limit. Our heroine is furious, tired of this wild goose chase and the endless mind games. Deep down, our Pink Street girl is spiraling. She can't detect lies by smell like other demons, and she's terrified that she's being lied to again. She realizes she needs to learn mind reading to see the truth, but for that, she needs help from her own kind. Cut to a high-security prison where our heroine is visiting a demon locked in a straitjacket. Outside the door, our Pink Street girl is desperately trying to eavesdrop, but the walls are too thick. She's fuming that her partner is going behind her back. She reflects on her lost memories, realizing that the only people she truly knows now are her partner and Topa. She worries that if she really did horrible things in her past, she might lose her only friend forever. She slaps herself to snap out of it. What do I care? She screams internally. Inside the cell, the prisoner demon is mocking our heroine's request. You want me to teach you mind reading? Are you serious? She sneers. She explains that mind reading is as natural as breathing for demons, and you can't just cheat biology. Our heroine doesn't take no for an answer, threatening to withhold the demon's magic. The demon finally caves, but warns that she'll need a guinea pig to practice on. As our heroine exits the cell, she finds her partner waiting with a very suspicious look on her face. None of your business, she says, trying to brush past, but her partner isn't having it. They argue about honesty, with our heroine firing back that she's never gotten a straight answer about MoMA. The tension is at an all-time high as our Pink Street girl realizes she might never be fully accepted. I'll tell you, but not right now, our heroine promises, looking off into the distance. She needs to confirm one last thing first. They arrive at a massive, glowing estate, ready to end this search once and for all. As they step out, looking like absolute powerhouses, the heiress gives the final command. We'll talk about it when we find Topa. The hunt is officially on. Our heroine is currently playing a dangerous game of hide and seek at the party. She's peeking around corners, narrowing her eyes as she asks, is that her? Her friend is way less chill, insisting they should just charge in and demand answers about our girl's missing memories. But our girl isn't about to make a scene yet, dragging her friend back with a sharp wait. The two start bickering about the plan, but the friend suddenly gets a major case of the jitters, whispering that they really shouldn't be talking to this woman. Our heroine, tired of the back and forth, decides to take the lead. Then let's break the contract, she says firmly. Stay hidden, I'll go and talk to her alone. The friend looks like she's seen a ghost, finally admitting that the woman they saw wasn't Topa. They continue their heated argument in the corridor. But before they can make a move, a hand suddenly clamps over our girl's mouth. They're shoved against a door, heart rate spiking. A chilling, smooth voice echoes through the hall. Well, this is quite the surprise. A mysterious, white-haired woman towers over them, looking completely unimpressed. She eyes our heroine with a smirk, asking the friend, your latest conquest, is she? After the woman leaves them with a cryptic warning, the girls don't stick around to chat. They bolt down the stairs as fast as their heels will carry them. The friend finally drops the bombshell. That wasn't the real Topa, it was MoMA. Apparently, this MoMA is some kind of terrifying entity that can speak through any demon's body, meaning they are being hunted by a literal ghost in the machine. The friend is spiraling now, terrified of the punishment if they get caught. The nightmare becomes real when a voice whispers right behind them, found you. Suddenly, the building is on total lockdown, with security blocking every single exit. Back in the ballroom, the conductor raises his baton, but he's not looking for a symphony. With a massive blast of energy, he shatters the floor right under their feet. Guns start barking in the chaos, but our girl isn't a damsel in distress. She summons a glowing blue chain, spinning it with deadly precision to deflect the incoming bullets. Her friend finally lets her wings fly, grabbing our heroine as they make a break for it. With nowhere else to go, they smash through a massive glass window and plummet into the night sky. While they're literally falling to their potential deaths, our girl pulls out her phone to call Liu. But the call is super suspicious. Liu claims she's already safe and sound back at the dorm. She even flips on her camera to show she's just hanging out with a nerd. Our heroine isn't buying it for a second, wondering if the person on the screen is even the real Liu. I knew security wouldn't be human. The friend screams as fireballs begin raining down. Our girl quickly deploys a protective dome, but the enemy's firepower is insane. Even her best defense barely leaves a scratch on the incoming attack. Realizing she has to end this now, our heroine focuses every ounce of her energy into a single, devastating blow. Opal pins our girl down with a terrifying grip, and Yu is absolutely losing it. Yu stammers, realizing she's trapped in a high-level spell. It's Opal's protective field, and she is definitely not in the mood for games. Opal looks down at our poor heroine and demands to know what on earth she thinks she's doing here. Yu isn't backing down though, screaming right back, what am I doing here? What are you doing here? What are you doing here on your own? She screams, her voice echoing with magical authority. She lets out a frustrated sigh, telling you that if she hadn't recognized her magical signature, our girl would be nothing but a pile of ashes right now. Yu tries to play it cool, claiming she was just looking for the truth. But then it clicks, our girl realizes Opal actually followed her. She says she had to make sure the tragedy from 10 years ago didn't repeat itself. Naturally, this turns into a full-blown screaming match while poor Yao Hai just stands there looking awkward as hell. Opal reminds Yu that she gave her all the freedom she could handle, taught her spells, and even let her craft her own weapons. All I asked in return was for you to be careful. Opal yells, but Yu snaps back that she's standing right there, so what's the big deal? Yao Hai finally finds her voice and tells them both to stop because it's all her fault. But Opal isn't interested in a demon's apology. She admits she let Yu get in over her head, and she won't be letting her near these dangerous situations ever again. Yu is absolutely offended, barking back, "You let me? Who do you think you are?" Opal turns her icy gaze toward Yao Hai, noting that the demon doesn't look well at all. Yao Hai looks down, whispering that she knows exactly what Opal thinks of her. She calls herself a dumb loser and offers a genuine apology, which actually leaves Yu looking pretty stunned. Our girl whispers to Opal, "Are you sure that's her? That's not how you described her." Opal's demeanor shifts slightly as she tells Yao Hai that her past is none of her business. She places a hand on the demon's shoulder, claiming she was only reprimanding Yu and not to take it to heart. Then she pokes Yu right in the forehead, warning her that if she keeps frowning, she's going to get wrinkles. Opal finally introduces herself properly as a field magic expert who's been babysitting Yu for a decade. She admits she never wanted to get involved in this mess, but Yu is special. Leaning in close to Yao Hai, Opal drops a major lore bomb. Yu has some very unique and very terrifying abilities. When she was only 10 years old, Yu completely absorbed a succubus's demonic energy. Opal warns Yao Hai that being around Yu is like playing with fire. Our girl could accidentally suck all the magic out of her at any second. That's why Yao Hai was able to enter Yu's mind. It wasn't the demon's power, it was Yu's unstable energy. Opal concludes that their relationship is a ticking time bomb for both of them. She bluntly tells Yao Hai that if she's just looking for a snack, she should go find someone else. But despite the warnings, Opal says she won't interfere because Yu is a stubborn brat who listens to nobody. However, Opal's eyes turn cold as white birds begin to circle them. She makes it crystal clear, if what happened today were to happen again, I would not let it slide, understood. With that final threat, Opal vanishes into a pillar of light, leaving the two of them alone in the dark. Yao Hai admits that Opal has a point and that Yu might really get hurt if they continue. This sends Yu into a spiral of anger, screaming that she doesn't need anyone's pity. When Yao Hai says they can't possibly fight Mama, Yu loses it, calling her a fucking coward. Yu insists there must be another way to win. But Yao Hai has had enough of the talking. She lunges forward and sinks her teeth into Yu's neck, catching our girl completely off guard. "I'm sorry," Yao Hai whispers, begging for them to just find somewhere quiet for the night. She promises that once they make sure Liu is safe, she'll tell you everything she knows about the mysterious Mama. The scene shifts to a secluded, cozy cabin deep in the woods. Sitting by the warmth of a fire, Yu finally asks the big question, "Tell me why you're so afraid of Mama." Yao Hai looks into the flames, explaining there was a woman whose face she can't even remember anymore. This woman was like a mother to her, teaching her how to hunt humans and use magic when she was just a little demon. They spent an entire decade together in peace. But Yao Hai eventually got bored of the quiet life and started running with a bad crowd. That was when she realized just how powerful she actually was, and that's when everything went south. Yu watches her intently, admitting she can't imagine Yao Hai being scared of anything. "The version of you I used to know wasn't afraid of death," Yu says. "She had no weaknesses. That's what made me scared of you for so long." Yao Hai reaches out, asking Yu to hold her hand. She offers to let our heroine into her mind so she can see the memories for herself. That way, Yao Hai whispers, "You can see for yourself." Floating through a literal void of someone's subconscious is a lot harder than it looks, especially when the place is cluttered with random memories. "This is so hard to move." Our girl grumbles as she tries to navigate through a sea of floating school notes and phone apps. She's on a mission to find something useful, but she's quickly losing her patience. This woman's head is full of garbage. She snaps, tossing aside fragments of memories like she's cleaning out a junk drawer. "Is there anything useful in here?" But the void isn't as empty as it looks. Suddenly, massive purple shadowy hands erupt from the darkness, lunging for our spirit heroine. The scene shifts to a cold, dark alleyway where a confused voice asks, "Where am I?" Before she can get her bearings, a light cuts through the dark and a man yells, "There, it's her." We see Yao, looking battered and terrified, as magical energy begins to swirl around her. She's cornered and bleeding, facing down a group of people who clearly aren't here to help. "I keep telling you I don't know anything," Yao screams, her voice cracking with desperation. She insists she just found the victim like that, but her interrogator isn't buying it. A man with a blurred-out face looms over her, his voice dripping with skepticism. "Can you prove this claim?" he demands. When she can't, his tone turns cold. "I don't believe you can." The interrogation turns brutal as Yao is strapped to a chair and blasted with magical lightning. The man sneers, claiming he has experience with her kind, accusing her of charming and using humans until she's had her fill. The poor girl is convulsing from the shocks, but the torture doesn't stop. Suddenly, a blonde woman who Yao calls Mama rushes in, shouting for them to stop. It's my fault she wasn't raised properly, Mama cries, offering to take the punishment herself. Yao is horrified, screaming, "What are you talking about? I didn't kill anyone." But her pleas are met with another strike of magic that shuts her up real quick. The man tells her she needs to live with the consequences of her choices. Yao tries one last time to explain, sobbing that she only eats scraps and never kills, but the man coldly tells her it's too late. Mama leans in to comfort her, whispering that she believes her because Yao is weak and innocent. But then Mama's words take a creepy, manipulative turn. "Why didn't you just listen to Mama?" She reminds Yao of everything she's done for her, promising she'll always be there, in a way that feels more like a threat than a comfort. Back in the real world, Yao is still out cold, resting her head in our heroine's lap inside a small cabin. Our girl is looking down at her, wondering if she passed out as a defense mechanism after reliving such a trauma. Yao starts mumbling in her sleep, "You, please, feed me." Before our girl can even react, Yao lunges upward, sinking her teeth right into our heroine's neck. Our girl is frozen in shock, her face turning bright red from the sudden intimacy and the pain. Yao is clearly out of it, whispering about how hungry she is while clinging to her. As the biting continues, a dark thought crosses our heroine's mind. This is it, my chance to kill her, she thinks, her eyes narrowing with intent. She reasons that she has a new lead now and has no more use for this girl. Her hand moves toward Yao's throat and she tells herself, if I killed her, I would feel better. But as she looks down at the girl who has saved her life twice already, her resolve wavers. She lets out a frustrated groan, flailing around like a toddler having a tantrum. "But this is so frustrating, you were supposed to be the final answer." She yells at the ceiling. Yao finally starts to wake up, groaning, "Would you stop trying to kill me all the time? Can't you be more gentle?" The tension in the room shifts as Yao reaches out and gently takes our girl's hand. They lock eyes in the firelight, the air between them suddenly thick with something other than animosity. After a long, quiet moment, Yao looks surprised. "You let me do this," she says softly. She eyes our heroine suspiciously, asking if this kindness is just some elaborate strategy. Our girl just looks defeated, staring off into the distance. "I don't know anymore. I'm just so tired of everything," she admits, her voice barely a whisper. Yao realizes that our girl saw her deepest, most painful memories. "Is it because of what you saw in my mind?" she asks. When our girl doesn't answer, Yao tells her she should sleep. Our heroine finally relaxes a bit, thanking her and offering to keep watch while Yao rests. But the weight of the memory still hangs over them. "Mama was tortured in your stead," our girl says, finally addressing the trauma that started all of this. Our dark-haired firecracker, Hai Yao, is currently laying low in a barn, but she can't stop her mind from racing. She admits to our heroine that she saw something far from glamorous, the tragic sight of a mother being tortured for her sake. It's a heavy memory, and Hai Yao looks genuinely ashamed as she confesses it's the only face from her past she can even remember. Her hand trembles against the straw as the weight of her trauma resurfaces. Our girl Topa tries to make sense of it all, asking if Hai Yao's relationship with her mother has always been this messed up. Hai Yao leans over her, the intensity in her eyes enough to melt the hay. She scoffs, "Who knows?" In her world, the Hai Yao everyone knows was alone since birth, surviving only through raw violence because she had no backer and no family. She hovers over Topa, explaining that her ruthless personality was forged in that isolation. But Topa isn't buying the born-from-nothing story. "This is impossible," she argues. She starts dropping some serious lore, explaining that while other lineages are different, a succubus's physical body has to be born from a mother. Topa looks exhausted as she questions if Hai Yao has been implanted with some kind of play memory. She reminds her of the Holy War 600 years ago that nearly wiped out the demons. Back then, even the strongest demons were sealed away into eternal chaos. Topa explains that for the few survivors to grow their numbers again, they must have found a way to batch-produce physical bodies, like pods growing on a sinister tree. In a world where demons have no concept of kinship, the idea of a cozy housewife mother is nothing but a fairy tale. Hai Yao starts to spiral, clutching her head in frustration. If her mother isn't real, then whose voice was warning them at the hotel? She's losing it, screaming about why someone would go through the trouble of fabricating a mother for her. Topa watches her meltdown, wondering why a caster would consume so much magic just to compile a fake life for someone else. Is it a cover-up for an even darker secret? Hai Yao realizes that with that kind of power, whoever is behind this could have crushed her like an ant. She starts to wonder if there even is a behind-the-scenes instigator, or if she's been the one directing this entire tragedy herself. Seeing Hai Yao panicking, Topa stays silent, which only makes Hai Yao more frantic. She grabs Topa's face, squishing her cheeks and demanding, "Hey, why don't you speak?" She's convinced that the mysterious noise from the hotel has somehow taken Topa away. Topa, with her face being absolutely mangled by Hai Yao's grip, finally mumbles, "Claws away." Hai Yao doesn't let go, rambling about how Topa's spiritual magic is supposed to be the best, yet she was still occupied by that thing at the hotel. Topa finally sits up, totally over the drama, and snaps that Xiao wasn't being this cautious when she was manhandling her a second ago. They sit in the dilapidated shack, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Xiao sighs, admitting that nobody can really tell what's on that mother's mind. Topa wonders if the mysterious figure wants her to live well or just be miserable. Xiao tells her to relax, promising that she can break any spiritual magic and that no succubus can threaten her. This piqued Topa's interest immediately. She gets all sparkly-eyed, begging Xiao to teach her how she did that kick back at the KTV. She even tries to wheedle a mind-reading lesson out of her. Topa teases her, pointing out that Xiao has been sending out so many missions lately just to practice her mind-reading magic. As a law enforcement officer, you're actually bending the law for your own benefit. She smirks, threatening to report her to the Exorcist Association. Xiao is stunned by the audacity while Topa just laughs in her face. "Why are you so arrogant?" Xiao yells, pointing a finger as Topa keeps teasing her about her combat missions. Suddenly, Xiao's phone buzzes and order has been completed. A bizarre ad pops up on the screen for a super beater app, where ghouls complain about exorcists only protecting humans. It's a total demons-only gig economy app. Xiao looks at the phone in absolute horror. She realizes Topa has been secretly working as a thug for this illegal, non-governmental organization. "How is this legal?" she screams. Topa just rolls her eyes, telling her that talking about legality all day is annoying. She reveals that the head of the magic department has been ignoring her side hustle because she's a related household. Topa explains her backstory, revealing that after her priest died, the current head of the department, an old friend of the priest, took her in like an aunt. This aunt helped her get a position in the department just so she could be looked after. Topa lies back in the straw, telling Xiao that she needs to understand the reality of the world there. Xiao is left speechless, wondering why Topa is sharing all this now. Topa just shrugs it off, saying she's just giving her a reward for covering for her today. As Topa falls asleep, Xiao watches her, noting that her presence feels firm and peaceful. She feels a strange sense of relief, thinking that at least now she doesn't have to worry about Topa backstabbing her. Morning comes and neither of them got a wink of sleep. Topa is officially done with the bloody shack and demands to go back. Xiao agrees to put out the fire so they can leave. But as they pack up, Topa sneaks a look at her phone. A hidden message on the screen reveals the chilling truth. "Well done to you, keep gaining Xiao's trust and lure mom out." Back in the present, our girl wakes up to a literal human sandwich. "What are you guys doing?" she shrieks, finding her two roommates practically breathing down her neck. They're looming over her in the dorm room like she's a specimen under a microscope. The blonde is busy questioning if this is even the same girl they knew, while the one with red highlights is determined to keep her safe, even if she doesn't know why. The two of them are intensely chin-stroking, overanalyzing her every move. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts, and they're acting way too friendly, which honestly scares our girl even more. All right, you guys are busy, I'll just go wash up first," she stammers, trying to moonwalk out of the room. But the blonde isn't having it, rushing past her and slamming the door. "Don't follow me in," she yells, leaving the others stunned. From that moment on, life becomes a total circus. No matter where our girl goes, whether she's out at a club or trying to grab a quiet drink, these two are lurking in the background like high-level stalkers. Fed up with the constant surveillance, our girl pulls a pro-gamer move and literally flees the country. She finally makes it to a private yacht, sinking into a lounge chair with a sigh of relief. They didn't follow me this time," she whispers, finally tasting freedom. But as she pulls off her shades, reality hits her like a freight train. The blonde is sitting right there in the captain's chair, looking like she owns the place. And of course, the other one pops out of the shadows in a sailor uniform. "In fact, we want to be closer with you," she chirps, revealing she's the one who persuaded the blonde to come along. Our girl can only stare into the distance, wondering if she'll ever have a moment of peace again. Up in the cockpit, the two bodyguards are actually having a serious debrief. They're worried our girl is being manipulated, but then the red-highlighted girl drops a bombshell. She hasn't read a single spicy book in a whole month. This earns her a swift whack to the head from the blonde, but the point stands. Our girl is changing. They start dissecting the mom situation and that chaotic dance from before. They realize our girl's departure from the venue was suspiciously coincidental. The smell of anxiety becomes stronger and stronger, they note, sensing her inner turmoil. They wonder if mom is actually trying to get succubi to coexist with humans, or if there's a darker plan to return the world to an age of chaos. The blonde is especially heated, accusing the other of being a blatant defiance of authority for her past sins. Meanwhile, our girl is eavesdropping from the deck, wallowing in her own brand of drama. It turns out her family has been trying to sell her off to some rich uncle because she's old enough. "How can I go from extravagance to frugality?" she cries, realizing she can't bear to lose her yacht and designer bags. Feeling lonelier than ever, she checks her phone, but there's no one to talk to. She scrolls down to her sister's chat, looking for any sign of life. Somewhere else, her sister's phone pings on the counter. "Sister, what are you doing, Tilda?" the message reads, a tiny plea for connection in the middle of all this chaos. I've said everything there is to say, Xiaoxu snaps clearly at the end of her rope. She begs her roommates to stop following her, demanding to know if they actually plan on tagging along to her family home for the New Year's vacation. The blonde roommate just gives her a blank stare, casually admitting that it's definitely on her to-do list. Our girl is vibrating with rage, telling them not to push their luck since they aren't even that close. Finally, the blonde relents, saying they won't follow her today. But the dark-haired one leaves her with a chilling warning. It's not very peaceful outside recently. We are afraid that you will be in danger. Xiaoxu is left completely baffled, wondering what kind of nonsense they're spouting now. She's just going to grab dinner with a childhood friend she considers a sister. What kind of danger could she possibly run into? At a high-end restaurant, Xiaoxu meets up with her stunning, silver-haired sister and immediately starts venting. Sister Tilda, I've been really annoyed lately, she wails, grabbing the woman's hand like a dramatic child. She explains that her two disgusting roommates have suddenly become obsessed with her. Even the top student roommate, who she actually likes, is being constantly tortured by those two creeps. Xiaoxu is so frustrated she's practically stabbing her steak, complaining that she chose this restaurant just to get away from them. Her sister just laughs, teasing her that she's only a backup option for when Xiaoxu is bored. Our girl turns betrayed, insisting that her sister is her ultimate safe haven. The conversation shifts to Xiaoxu's family, and she grumbles about her stubborn grandfather and the blind dates he keeps forcing on her. She admits she only picked a random, local university as an act of revenge because her family never cared about what she actually liked. Suddenly, her sister leans in with a piercing gaze and asks, "Then let me ask them, what do you like?" Xiaoxu freezes, but her sister breaks the tension by joking that she must like indescribable novels. Xiaoxu is shocked. How did she know exactly what she was thinking? The sister leans in close, whispering, "You seem to have discovered a secret that you shouldn't know." She claims to be a great magician who can see everything in Xiaoxu's mind with a single blink. As the sister tells her a soothing fairy tale, Xiaoxu starts feeling incredibly drowsy. "Good girl," the sister whispers, petting her hair as she drifts off. "Your ability to relax is more important than anything else." But as Xiaoxu sleeps, a terrifying, snake-like shadow looms in the reflection of the window behind them. Xiaoxu plunges into a fever dream where massive, glowing purple tentacles wrap around her body, constricting her. She screams out in terror as the energy coils tighter and tighter. Suddenly, the image of her nerdy, studious roommate appears in the middle of the nightmare. With a literal dwang sound effect, Xiaoxu jolts awake, falling right off the bed. She groans, wondering why that annoying nerd had to ruin such a beautiful dream. She realizes she's still at her sister's luxury apartment and heads out toward the terrace. She remembers her sister putting her to bed, but where did she go? Xiaoxu steps outside and freezes. Under the moonlight, the woman looks ethereal and terrifyingly beautiful. Xiaoxu finds herself walking toward her involuntarily, drawn in by the sight. The sister turns, her eyes cold, noting that Xiaoxu woke up much earlier than expected. Internally, the sister's thoughts are much darker, wondering why Xiaoxu showed up when she has the least appetite. She mentions disobedient children and rats in the gutter that she finally has her eye on. She tells Xiaoxu to go back to school and keep a very close eye on everyone around them, especially a guy named Yu. Xiaoxu ends up in a taxi, but the sister's parting thought is ominous. The city will no longer be safe in the future. Our girl falls fast asleep again during the ride, and the driver has to practically yell to wake her up at the school gates. She's completely out of it, wondering why she's so exhausted. But as she looks at her phone, a wave of pure horror washes over her. I can't remember what my sister looks like at all," she whispers, realizing her entire memory of the woman's face has been completely erased. Our girl peeks cautiously through the door, hoping she hasn't walked into a disaster zone. She's met with a surprised roommate who's just finished drying her hair. "You finished your self-study and those two guys haven't come back yet?" our heroine asks, trying to keep her cool while her heart does backflips. But her roommate's response sends a chill down her spine. "It's only 7 o'clock, meaning the hours our girl felt were a lifetime were barely a blip on the clock." Anxiety starts to peak as they realize Xiao Yu was supposed to be back by now. Neither Xiao Yu nor Hai Yao are answering their phones, and the silence is deafening. A quick look at the empty desk confirms the worst. Something is definitely wrong. But she turned off her phone, and even Hai Yao didn't answer my call, she whispers, her face pale as a ghost. The dread is real as the scene shifts to a shattered phone on the ground, a symbol of a life currently in pieces. The hospital's operating room screen shows a grim reality, with blood splattered across the walls like a horror movie set. A white-haired figure towers over the wounded, claiming that if they hadn't severed the contract, things would be even worse. "This happened to her all because of you," they bark while another phone lies broken on the floor. But wait, let's rewind to 2 hours ago to see how this mess started. Our girl is back in her power suit, looking sharp and ready for trouble. She's looking at a profile for a strong-level succubus, and her blue-haired demon companion seems to know exactly who this is. "Oh, it's more than just an acquaintance," the demon says with a smirk. They decide to head out, promising that everything will be clear once they see it. They sneak out of the building, leaving the mundane world behind. As they climb the stairs, our girl is impressed by the cognitive impairment magic being used to stay hidden. Little does she know, her demon friend isn't even using magic, she's just that fast. The demon jokes about her poisonous mouth, but the mission is serious business. To get there faster, the demon scoops our heroine up for a piggyback ride across the rooftops. We get a quick lore dump about how this thug platform works compared to official exorcists. Apparently, society is held together by the police, exorcists, and these sketchy civil self-defense groups. While the police handle humans and exorcists handle monsters, these self-defense groups are a total mixed bag. They land on a rooftop just in time to see a massive demon named Tanzang bullying some poor, fluffy creatures. Our girl is disgusted. How did you say such cruel words with a calm face? She demands, looking down at the carnage. Tanzang is a nasty piece of work, literally eating his victims while looking like a total nightmare. He's a high-level threat who was previously imprisoned for eating living people. Tanzang lunges at our girls with a terrifying grin. Dust explodes everywhere as he lands his hit. "Who are you, hiding here sneakily?" he sneers, his yellow eyes glowing with malice. He's offended that our heroine doesn't recognize him, wondering if he's changed too much since he was a child. He grabs the blue-haired demons, mocking her for being a dirty little thing. He's genuinely shocked to see a human still alive next to her, asking, "Why is the guy next to you still alive?" Our demon friend is totally lost, having no memory of this creep. Tanzang is disgusted, accusing them of playing house and saying they make him sick. He rants about local snakes and fake reserves of food, looking like he's about to blow a fuse. Our demon friend is shaking in her boots, asking our girl if she has a plan to subdue this monster. But our heroine stays icy calm. "I'm not here to cause trouble, Tanzang," she says, her eyes narrowing. "I just want to chat with you about the past." She starts reminiscing about how she used to sneak out of the nursery to cause trouble at his base, admitting she enjoyed the fact that they couldn't handle her. She asks him point blank if he was ever given an explanation for why she left. Tanzang just bursts into a fit of hysterical, jagged-toothed laughter. "You take yourself too seriously," he mocks, calling her nothing more than livestock waiting for slaughter. He's bitter about the years he spent following commands and feeling useless. He decides the talking is over and attacks. "Do you know how much I've missed you over the years?" he screams, his blue energy clashing against them. Our demon friend is frantically dodging, screaming that she truly doesn't remember him or why her memories were deleted. Tanzang isn't buying the amnesia act for a second, kicking her across the roof. "Are you kidding me?" he yells, his face twisted in rage. Even as she tries to suggest a friendly information exchange, he just doubles down on the violence. He slams her down, making her cough up blood. "I hit you just to solve the problem," he rants, accusing her of stealing his territory and his brother. He stands over her, literally stepping on her head to show his dominance. He knows she's not dead yet, calling this just the main event. But our girl has had enough of the drama. She pulls out a glowing blue energy blade, looking like a total boss. Tanzang just smiles, ready to play with his new toy. Our girl is reeling from the impact, her eyes wide with desperation as the world literally splits apart around her. The demon girl isn't letting up for a second, baring her fangs and screaming at the top of her lungs, "Get her back for me." Our poor heroine is caught in the crossfire, her face flushed with the strain of the magical onslaught. She looks up at her ally Xiao, who is swinging a glowing blue blade with lethal intent. "Xiao, what are you doing?" she cries out, dodging a strike that nearly takes her head off. "Didn't you say you have a way to break mind control?" She's paralyzed by shock, unable to believe the person she trusted is now coming for her life. The demon girl just laughs at her struggle, hovering over her like a nightmare. "Fool, there are flaws all over you," she taunts, relishing the chaos she's created. Our girl's mind is a mess of conflicting emotions. "No, what am I thinking?" she thinks, her hand trembling as she prepares a counterattack. "How could I hurt her?" But the demon is right there, whispering poison into her ears, leaning in close with a wicked grin. "Aren't humans just meant to be killed whenever they want?" she sneers, pushing our heroine toward the edge of no return. Finally, our girl snaps, lashing out with a burst of red energy that forces the demon back. The demon's laughter echoes through the void. "Ha ha ha ha, this is the first time today that you have actively attacked me." She watches our heroine's face with sick fascination, telling her that this expression of raw rage is exactly what she should be showing. Xiao moves like a blur, his saber glowing with an intense light as he clashes with the demon. "Hi Yao, why do you have to be so stubborn?" the demon asks, as if they're just having a casual chat while trying to murder each other. Xiao isn't listening, throwing everything he has into a massive overhead swing. The demon girl realizes she's running out of time. "Obviously, as long as I kill this child, I will get less beatings," she thinks, launching a zigzagging energy blast to end it once and for all. Our girl falls through the darkness, her body broken and her strength fading. She looks at her blood-stained hand, the reality of her situation finally sinking in. Her thoughts drift to her mother and the friends she's trying to protect. "I don't want my mother to be punished for me. I don't want to be isolated by human friends." she whispers to the void. Above her, Tianyu watches in horror as her vitality begins to drain away. She coughs up a spray of blood, her internal monologue filled with regret for the mean things she said earlier. As she plummets toward the ground, she spots a small, lonely puppy in a cardboard box. Sorry, little one, she thinks, a desperate plan forming in her mind. You will freeze to death soon anyway, so why not lend me your body and use it more effectively? A flash of pink light erupts as she attempts a last-ditch possession, blue chains of magic binding her soul to the new host. Tianyu catches her original body, but it's limp and lifeless. Below them, the blue chains pull tight. A massive, monstrous silhouette of a dog begins to form, wreathed in pink energy and bound by glowing shackles. The beast lets out a silent roar, the chains digging into its neck as the transformation completes. Sometime later, our girl, now back in her human form but heavily bound, wakes up coughing blood. The magical chains are hissing against her skin, keeping her completely immobilized. The demon girl is standing over her, looking absolutely delighted by her pathetic state. Yo, you are back, she mocks. She leans down, her blue eyes glowing with malice. How did you come up with the idea of possessing a wild dog? She continues to twist the knife, telling Hai Yao that if she were in her shoes, she would have killed herself out of pure shame. The majestic Lord Hai Yao, she was actually stripped of all her claws and teeth. She sneers, kicking our girl while she's down. Became a pet dog kept by the leader. Hai Yao looks up, her face bruised and bloody. Who is the leader? She rasps, her memory clearly a jumbled mess. The demon girl stops, her expression turning into one of disbelief. Are you not aware of it at all? It's really ironic, she says, looking down at her former superior. She starts reminiscing about the old Hai Yao, the invincible madman who didn't know the meaning of fear. It was that raw courage that allowed the others to survive for decades under her command. I will never become stronger than you, the demon admits, her fist clenching as she remembers her own weakness. But the nostalgia quickly turns back into rage. She slams her foot on Hai Yao's chest, drawing more blood. But how could everything become like this? I was reborn, and you have become so weak. She can't wrap her head around how the demon lord who once defied the gods could be tripped up by a mere human child. Lord Hai Yao, who once didn't even look down upon the gods, you should have died as a result of divine punishment. She screams. She blames a mysterious, meddlesome leader for sparing Hai Yao's life when she should have been erased from existence. Hai Yao stares at the floor, processing the information. Is there any basis for this? She asks softly. The demon girl pauses, surprised by the question. Our girl continues, I didn't know until today that I'm not dead. What kind of leader is protecting me that I have never heard of? The demon girl scoffs, waving a hand dismissively. Idiot. Besides the leader of a clan, who else has the ability to negotiate with angels? She reveals the ultimate secret. The one controlling them, the one who tampered with their memories, is none other than their good mom. But before the demon can finish her gloating, red energy blades erupt from the ground, catching her completely off guard. The tables have turned. The demon girl finds herself bound by the very same blue chains she was using a moment ago. She's furious, baring her fangs as she realizes she walked right into a trap. As soon as you gain a slight upper hand, you can't wait to start humiliating the enemy, she growls. Hai Yao stands up, looking cold and calculated. Thanks to your blind confidence, I can hear these interesting topics, she says, her eyes glowing with a dangerous light. She reaches out and grabs the demon girl by the hair, forcing her to look her in the eye. But I won't bother you with the rest. No need to waste your breath. Our girl leans in, her voice dripping with ice. Let me see how much you know about this legendary mother. The demon girl lets out a final, agonizing scream as our heroine begins to extract the truth by force. Our girl's familiar isn't holding back either, mocking the fallen demon with a tongue-out taunt. But the real threat is the hooded figure nearby, who is absolutely seething with rage. How dare any human being humiliate me in this way? The figure roars, their hand trembling with dark intent. Suddenly, the succubus is hoisted up, glowing with a volatile blue energy as chains bind her tight. The hooded villain isn't playing around anymore, screaming, I'm going to K***you. Our poor heroine's eyes go wide with terror as the villain targets the humans below and her trash-like familiar. I will cut you all into pieces. The monster bellows, unleashing a terrifying winged silhouette that fills the room with dread. Our girl tries to reach out, but she immediately recoils in agony. No, hiss, it hurts. She cries as a strange, corrosive black energy begins to rot her hand. She panics, wondering what this weird, life-draining substance even is. It's a literal death touch. Any living thing that comes into contact with it has its life force snuffed out in an instant. Yet in the middle of this swirling vortex of decay, Hanya stands perfectly still. Our girl is spiraling, clutching her wounded hand and screaming, what to do? What should I do in this situation? If they can't find a way to neutralize this black gunk, there's no way they can defeat Tan Sang. Why? Our girl screams, blood dripping down her face as she faces the villain's twisted logic. The monster simply sneers that only the chosen strong ones are worthy of such power. But then the impossible happens. Xiao Yu is standing right in the center of the corruption, completely untouched. But why do you not erode it at all? The villain gasps in shock. Our girl is just as confused as the villain, shouting, damn it, I also want to know what's going on. As the magic intensifies, our heroine starts seeing flashes of a past she barely understands. Ominous memories of rituals and chosen children flood her mind. She remembers the phrase chosen to endure, realizing this magic is far more personal than she ever imagined. In the chaos of the magical backlash, Xiao Yu has lost her clothes, leading to a frantic and hilarious moment. I am very weak mentally, you should have expected that. Our girl yells, trying to cover for the situation while dragging Xiao Yu away. They tumble together, the villain calling them useless trash as they fall. A creepy laugh echoes through the darkness. Got caught again, Tilda, the villain purrs, their glowing blue eyes fixed on our heroine. Hey ha ha, so what if it can be protected from erosion? You are still human after all. The monster screams, grabbing our girl by the throat. He mocks her, calling her a mere ant who dares to stand on his stage. Our girl lets out a blood-curdling scream as a massive explosion of purple energy erupts, sending them both flying. Despite her own injuries, our girl manages to grab the unconscious Xiao Yu and makes a desperate run for it. She eventually makes it to the emergency center, carrying the bleeding Xiao Yu on her back. Then she realizes the horrifying truth. It's cognitive impairment. The magic is making them invisible to the doctors, and if she doesn't do something, Xiao Yu will die from blood loss. Desperate, she fumbles with her phone, praying for anyone to come and save them. Suddenly, a silver-haired woman in a sharp suit appears, slamming our girl against the wall. What exactly is going on? Why is Xiao Yu injured like this? She demands. The woman is livid, blaming our girl for getting Xiao Yu involved with demons again. I knew she would not end well if she got involved with you. The woman spits, her voice dripping with venom. She claims it's all our girl's fault. Our heroine can only look down in shame, whispering, yes, all of this happened because of me. But as the woman continues to berate her, our girl finally snaps. Then what did you do? She screams back, grabbing the woman's lapels. Haven't you been monitoring her? Why didn't you save her right away? The woman yells back that there was no magic fluctuation to detect. Our girl recounts the horror of the fight, explaining how Xiao Yu was controlled and forced to fight. She shows her own rotting arm, explaining the decay magic Tan Sang used. It was the limit just to get her out. What else do you want from me? She sobs. The woman in the suit pauses, realizing the terrifying truth. She can use that power to fight back, and doesn't need my protection at all. Our girl continues to break down, calling herself a waste who just gets in the way. The woman's expression shifts to pure shock. Xiao Yu can control a magic power that can corrupt living creatures without any harm. This is a disaster. That kind of power is supposed to be extinct because it's fatal to anyone who holds it. You mean the devil? Our girl asks, trembling. She describes the sensation of the magic, how it felt like her body was surrendering to a mass of dead things. The woman realizes that if word gets out that Xiao Yu is a vessel for this power, she'll become a tool for every demon in existence. The suit woman demands to know where the succubus is, but our girl is too exhausted to care. All I want to do is escape from that place, she mutters. This only makes the woman angrier. If you let him go now, more people will become like you. How can you only think about escaping? Our girl, slumped against the wall and broken, asks what else she could have possibly done. She knows she has no magic and can never be the legendary hero they want her to be. The woman in the suit delivers a final, cold ultimatum, then leave Xiao Yu for me if you don't want to die ugly. She walks away, leaving our heroine in the dirt, throwing one last insult over her shoulder. There's no way a crying weakling like you can survive in her world. Beep, beep, the sound of hospital monitors is never a good sign. Our poor heroine is stuck in a hospital bed, barely clinging to consciousness as she feels the cold Roman IV in her hand. Meanwhile, in some hidden sanctum, a magic circle glows with a menacing red light. What kind of dark experiment is being conducted in that tube? Xiao Yu drifts back into a memory, seeing a man tenderly bandaging a child's hand. He looks so gentle, but there's a strange tattoo on his chest that screams hidden plot. Back in reality, our girl finally opens her eyes in the ward. I went to the hospital again, it hurts. She groans to herself. As the fog in her brain clears, she remembers the chaos. I kicked Xiao away and then Tan Sang caught me. Panic sets in immediately as she realizes she hasn't terminated the contract yet. But a literal angel with massive wings appears at her bedside. Stop looking for it, I've driven her away, she says coldly, claiming Xiao won't come back because she's too weak. The angel explains that she took it upon herself to sever the contract because Xiao Yu's magic was still draining her even while unconscious. At least she's still alive, the angel mutters, looking down at our girl. But Xiao Yu isn't grateful, she's frustrated. She thinks back to the fight, wondering why Xiao took such a beating without fighting back. Xiao looks so pleading, like she wanted to be the enemy just so Xiao Yu could hate her and avenge the priest. Xiao Yu reflects on her father, the priest, who raised her with strict training and gentle smiles. She missed his warmth, his long arms wrapping her in safety. But then the doubt hits like a truck. Did her father really care about her, or just the power she held? The memory literally shatters. Through the cracks, she sees the truth. Yao was the one who threw herself in front of the spikes to save Xiao Yu. Flash forward a week and the hospital lobby is buzzing with gossip. Xiao Yu's friends burst into the room with delicious porridge to celebrate her moving out of the ICU. They're amazed by her recovery speed, but the mood drops when someone asks, "Has Yao visited you?" Apparently, the blue-haired demon has completely vanished since the accident. The friends tease Xiao Yu about her sudden obsession with Yao, but the banter is cut short when a sophisticated woman enters. It's Professor Zhang Hongxia, the head of the department. The friends are starstruck, but Xiao Yu drops a bombshell. "This person is actually my distant aunt." Once the friends leave, the mask slips. The kind aunt tells Xiao Yu to focus on resting, but our girl is itching to get back into the fight. "I said no," the professor snaps, her voice full of authority. She reveals the cold, hard truth. The whole plan was to use Xiao Yu to build a relationship with Yao just to lure out the succubus leader. "You don't cherish your precious body at all," she yells, comparing her to her father. Opal looks our girl dead in the eye and asks, "How would you want me to explain this to your father?" Our heroine stays silent, the weight of the secret pressing down on her as she avoids eye contact. She knows our girl has been playing the strong soldier for far too long, hiding her pain from everyone. In her heart, Opal is still grieving for William, the man who was once everything to her. We see a flashback to when they were just kids, their lives full of wonder and the spark of magic. They were rare confidants with the same aspirations, bound by a connection no one else understood. They joined the Exorcist Association together, fighting side by side with fire and lightning for the sake of humanity's freedom. But then William just left. No note, no contact information, nothing but a cold silence. Opal hated him for it, feeling abandoned by her best friend who seemed to have lost his way. That hate turned to ash the day she saw the news of his death on the television. He died young and alone, or so she thought. It was only while handling his funeral affairs that Opal discovered the truth. He had adopted a child, our poor heroine. Seeing our girl so small and broken in that hospital ward changed everything for Opal. She remembers seeing her laugh with classmates, a rare moment of peace she wants to protect at any cost. "How could I allow you to go back into that whirlpool again?" Opal asks, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and protective rage. Our girl grips the sheets, her knuckles turning white as she struggles with her own sense of duty. "And so do you also want me to stop?" she asks quietly. She knows the world is getting darker, and as a licensed exorcist, she feels she must be worthy of her title. But Opal warns her that it's far too dangerous now. The succubi, once the most harmless branch of demons, have recently become brutal and uncontrollable. It all points back to their leader, known as Mama. She used to maintain a perfect balance with the scales of justice, but now everything is falling apart. Either she's been overthrown by a new, more violent succubus, or she has turned her back on mankind herself. Opal's eyes go cold behind her glasses. "Who can stop her? They killed William, now you're seriously injured." She vows that she will never let the leader go unpunished. She tells our girl to rest and leave the heavy lifting to the adults. Night falls over the city, and while the rest of the world celebrates the new year with a display of fireworks, our girl is wide awake in the dark. Outside, the sky is exploding with color, the loud booms echoing through the hospital halls. On a lonely, high rooftop, Yu sits by herself, the flashing lights of the celebration reflecting in her melancholy eyes. She catches a falling piece of debris, looking like she's carrying the weight of the entire world on her shoulders. Back in the ward, our girl checks her phone. It's just past midnight on February 5th, the start of the new year. She can't sleep, her mind is a storm of questions. She realizes Opal and the higher-ups are intentionally keeping her sidelined, ensuring no orders are assigned to her. Frustrated, she dives into her research, searching for any scrap of information about the succubus race. History says they were the least harmful, but our heroine isn't convinced they can truly coexist. Thousands of years ago in the chaotic era, monsters with overwhelming power ruled the earth and humans were nothing but prey. After centuries of hiding and praying for mercy, angels finally granted humans the strength to resist. A massive holy war broke out, a bloody and desperate counterattack that finally drove the great devil into the shadows. When the century-long war ended, the surviving monsters surrendered one by one. A peace agreement was signed under the witness of angels, and a demon named Iliatic made a pivotal choice. It believed that demons could be satisfied by just one emotion, desire. By separating from the devil to minimize harm to humans, the modern, relatively harmless succubus clan was born. For 600 years, they fulfilled their obligations, maintaining a delicate balance. Our girl realizes that this mysterious source, Iliatic, is almost certainly the mama from the memories she's seen. Entopa, Yao, and Tanzang, they are her offspring, tools she can possess at will to maintain her version of stability. But the math isn't adding up. Why the sudden turmoil and the death of the priest? Our heroine looks at the empty space beside her bed. "You're not around to respond to me," she whispers, finally admitting how much she misses her partner. She pulls out her phone, trying to convince herself she doesn't actually care. She claims she just wants a second opinion to avoid being short-sighted. But then the realization hits her. They've been inseparable for so long that she never even needed to use a phone to contact her. Now that the noisy person is gone, the silence is deafening. High above on the cold rooftop, Yu's phone suddenly buzzes. She looks down at a new friend request from our girl, her thumb hovering over the agree button in a moment of pure hesitation. Add me, I have something serious to do. The message pings across the screen, but our girl isn't having any of it. She stares at the phone, her heart heavy with the weight of troubles she just wants to leave behind. I no longer want to be involved in those troubles, she sighs, but fate and a very persistent caller have other plans. She tries to make up her mind to be firm, but a strange blue light flickers on her screen, and a voice commands her to accept the call or face the consequences. This woman, she growls, realizing that no matter where she hides, she's being tracked like a dog. Fine, if she wants to talk business, let's hear what she has to say. She picks up, her voice cold as ice, telling the girl on the other end to keep her story short. The blonde girl in the hospital bed just wants to know how her recovery is going, but Xiao isn't in the mood for small talk. Is this the business you were so desperate about? She asks, perched dangerously on a building ledge. The silence from the hospital bed is deafening until the blonde girl finally asks, do you resent me? Xiao scoffs, claiming she loves her new life, even bragging that her scars have only increased her charms. But the blonde girl isn't buying the tough act for a second. She can hear the weakness in Xiao's voice. Xiao, what are you actually worrying about? She asks softly. Our girl curls into a ball on that rooftop, the bravado crumbling as the leaves swirl around her in the cold night air. Back in the hospital, the blonde girl realizes that everything has changed. The girl she once knew is gone, replaced by someone she's starting to see as an entirely independent person. Xiao breaks down, sobbing into the phone that she's just a burden holding everyone back. Please don't come looking for me again, she wails, her heart breaking in real time. But then the blonde girl drops a bombshell. I was just pretending to be controlled, she confesses, her voice steady. She admits she wanted to force Xiao's cruel side out to confirm her own prejudices, but instead, she found a girl who refused to hurt her even at her worst. I want to believe you've truly changed, she whispers as Xiao's tears finally start to wash away the hatred of the past. The mood shifts quickly as the blonde girl tells her to check the news, sending a mysterious logo to Xiao's phone. Xiao recognizes it immediately. It's the mark of that terrifying black magic used by Tansang. Why on earth can you control that magic? The blonde girl demands, her eyes wide with suspicion. Suddenly, the hospital window is no longer a barrier. Xiao has transformed, floating right outside the glass on massive demon wings. The priest actually did this kind of training to you? She screams, her face contorted with rage as she shows her own scarred skin and a right hand rendered motionless by the magic. She rants about the priest gambling with her life, her anger boiling over at the thought of the training that was nothing short of torture. The blonde girl tries to defend him, saying he was gentler than the old Xiao ever was, but the realization of his true nature is starting to sink in. They both realize that the mysterious mother is the one pulling all the strings. But there's no time to plan their next move because a new threat has appeared. Zhang Hongxia, the director of magic science, is thirsty for revenge. If she gets to Mother first, they may never be able to free themselves from the nightmare of their past. The demon guy is deep in thought, wondering why Mom would ever place the two of them together if she wanted him to stay away from the troubles of the past. He suspects Mom might have had evil motives, but now the math just isn't adding up. It seems this whole dormitory arrangement was actually orchestrated by Zhang Hongxia, the department head, just to use him to bait out Mom's location. Our girl is listening, but he warns her not to get too close, claiming that even Mom turned against him the moment he found her. Our heroine looks conflicted in the dark, but she insists she won't betray him before noticing something chilling about the hotel. She realizes the massive magic barrier that once blocked their path has completely vanished. There's no trace of magic left in the air, and even the anger he usually senses from Mom has gone cold. He wonders if his sensing abilities are broken or if his magic was drained during the fight with Tansang. He starts leaping across the rooftops, insisting he isn't as reckless as our girl. He reminds her of the time they had to hunt down succubi at the dance, which brings back some pretty annoying memories for her. Our girl remembers running around in a massive skirt just to be told she was wrong. But the situation is serious now. The mother aura has disappeared so suddenly it's suspicious. Our heroine asks if the magic itself is gone or just his ability to feel it, but he has no idea. They need a plan, and she mentions that magic power dissipates if it's not held by a carrier. He peeks around a corner, eyeing the air conditioner in the KTV as a potential source of lingering energy. Our girl is already prepared, pulling out a glowing vial from the magic department to perform a supernatural DNA test. He meets a contact to grab the container and slips into the KTV to finish the job. He starts pressing buttons on the control panel, but the entire place is deathly quiet. There's not even a ghost in sight, and he starts to worry that something happened to Topa. He reflects on how Topa is the only other succubus he has contact with, and he can't help but project his feelings for his mother onto her. He's terrified that she's been taken. The security cameras show nothing but empty, haunting hallways. Feeling lost, he admits that without this connection, he has nothing to rely on. That's when our girl steps in with a killer line, "But don't you still have me?" The demon guy is absolutely floored, yelling into his headset because he's so uncomfortable with her being serious for once. He's blushing like a schoolgirl, sweating bullets as he tries to process her words. He accuses her of just using him as a tool or a substitute for his past self, Xiao. He claims he's only pretending to be stupid. But our girl asks why he keeps cooperating if she's so despicable. He tries to make excuses about not being able to escape, but she knows better. He's fast enough that she could never catch him if he actually wanted to leave. He finally admits the truth. Strangely, there is no way to ignore you. Our heroine looks like she's about to cry, feeling a strange debt to this boy who shows off his strength but cries so pitifully to her. She realizes she can't just leave him alone. But reality kicks back in. They can't find mom overnight. He watches her from outside the window, asking what she plans to do about Zhang Hongxia. Our girl tells him to just wait for her results, but she warns him not to do anything stupid like burning the building down. He's tired of being preached to like she's his elder. He just wants to talk as equal friends or classmates for once. Our heroine is flustered, wondering what equal friends even talk about. He brings up the nursery, asking if she remembers her evaluation of him. He's hurt because she thinks he only knows how to run away. He wants her to see him for who he is now, not the Xiao of the past. He explains that demons live leisurely lives and shouldn't be trapped by human emotions. But he's bad at magic and constantly gets affected by her feelings. He's discouraged because she won't recognize him. Our girl snaps back, asking why a devil would waste energy on emotional connections when humans are just food. He looks heartbroken, admitting he just wants her approval. She tells him he can never make up for the mistakes of his past self. He screams that he isn't just looking for a handout, he wants equal concern. He's a devil and devils are meant to deceive and torture. Yet here he is, sliding his hand down the glass in total despair. He thinks he's failed to replace the version of himself she actually wants. But then our girl softens. She admits that his care is actually something she needs. However, she's going to be willful one last time. She plans to create absolute chaos tomorrow to trap Zhang Hongxia and tells him to stay far away for his own safety. She promises to call him when the dust settles, completely unaware that her roommates have been eavesdropping on the entire dramatic confession and are looking absolutely traumatized. "Don't let anyone come here, don't let me go home." Our girl screams, her voice echoing with a desperation that stops everyone in their tracks. She's standing on the very edge of the hospital roof, looking like she's lost her mind, and yells, "I'm going to jump out of here now." The staff is absolutely losing it, begging her to stay calm and talk it out. But our heroine isn't in the mood for a chat, shouting back that she isn't negotiating with anyone. She stares down at the drop, whispering now, immediately, as if she's timing her own demise. "Get me out of here," she bellows at the terrified doctors. They try to reason with her, pointing out she hasn't even recovered from her injuries yet, but she just shoots them a chilling look. "Then, do you want to bet with me?" she asks, her eyes dancing with a dangerous spark. Down below, Xiao is watching this circus unfold and can't believe his eyes. He's worried sick about her, but he's also thinking, talk about creating a riot when there are people around. What a bad idea. Before he can even process her plan, our girl actually does it. She leaps right off the building. The crowd screams in horror as she plunges toward the pavement. Xiao's heart nearly stops as he screams, "This is the plan you finally came up with." He's panicking, yelling, "Hey, hey, hey, hey," as he watches her fall, convinced she's actually lost it this time. But just as she's about to hit the ground, a massive surge of magic erupts. Xiao is calling her a life-threatening lunatic while he desperately tries to intervene. "So you have no intention of saving yourself at all?" he roars as the golden light of a magic circle flares up to catch her. Suddenly, the terrifying fall turns into a scene out of a fairy tale as white doves and feathers erupt from the light, gently guiding her down. The magic dissipates, leaving the witnesses stunned. Our girl lands safely, looking a bit worse for wear as she calls out to Xiao. Even though her hand is bleeding from the stunt, she's got that I won look on her face. She knew exactly what she was doing, even if it meant being a bit of a stone-hearted menace to get her way. "At least I accomplished one thing," she mutters as the minister rushes over to her. The minister is fuming, grabbing her arm and calling her a crazy kid. "Do you have to force me in this way?" the minister asks, clearly exhausted by her antics. Our girl doesn't flinch, telling her to just find a way to let her out because she's done with the hospital. The minister finally caves, admitting she can handle the discharge papers, but warns her that the magical barrier is the real problem. Our heroine just smirks and tells the minister to put in more effort to break it. After a tense silence, the minister agrees to find a way to take her out. It's a temporary win, enough to keep their enemies at bay for a while. Bandaged up and ready to move, our girl heads out, knowing the minister will be too busy obsessing over the barrier to sleep or eat. But the drama isn't over yet. She runs into Opal, who isn't impressed by the noisy entrance. Opal gets straight to business, demanding they catch the target she let go. Our girl is visibly annoyed, clutching her chest like she's being asked to move a mountain while she's still healing. Wait, how did things turn out like this? She wonders, looking between Opal and a very battered Xiao. Opal explains it was a long story involving feedback and information. It turns out Opal has known Xiao since he was a kid and decided to give him a little push to prove himself. Opal decides to keep the barrier up for safety until our girl is fully recovered, but makes a concession. Xiao can come and go as he pleases. As Opal leaves, our girl looks at Xiao, wondering if he's been secretly helping her behind her back. He looks like a kicked puppy, admitting he went against her wishes and interfered on his own. I was afraid you'd be angry, he mumbles. Our girl just sighs, telling him she won't fuss over something small when the outcome was good. However, she warns him not to be fooled by Opal's friendly demeanor. Once you cross her line, she's ruthless. We see a flashback of Opal absolutely laying into Xiao for attacking her barrier. You jerk, how dare you come back here, she'd screamed at him. Xiao had defended himself, saying he just wanted her to handle the lunatic jumping off the building. Opal didn't hold back, calling him her biggest weakness because he's the weakest link. She mocked his tendency to panic and run away, telling him he'd just regret it and cry later. She even threatened that she'd never allow a threat that drags our girl down to stay by her side. Xiao, pushed to his limit, finally snapped back. I just don't want to be separated from her, is that so wrong? He poured his heart out, saying our heroine is the only one who cares about the real him, the worthless person who's been stumbling through life. He refused to disappoint her again. He ended his stand by telling Opal that while he doesn't need her approval, he just wants a chance to make up for everything. Our girl is done playing nice, dropping to her knees to beg for a chance. At least give me a chance to make up for everything, she pleads, her voice trembling. But the icy woman in the suit, Opal, isn't easily moved. Didn't expect you to have a bit of backbone after all, Opal scoffs, looking down at her. She demands to know exactly how the girl plans to prove she's worth keeping around. Our girl knows she has the ultimate trump card. You're wary of the one who wields dark magic, right? She asks, revealing she knows exactly who Tanzanite's next target is. Opal's eyes go wide with shock. Their target, she gasps, demanding to know how she got such high-level int. Our girl explains that during their life-or-death struggle, Tanzanite basically snitched on himself while being suppressed. He kept mentioning a we, which means he's not working alone. The pieces start falling into place. Someone has been interfering from the shadows the entire time. The mission wasn't just a job. It was a calculated trap set by someone who knows Xiao Yu's weaknesses. Opal admits she already suspected foul play, which is why she set up a demonic barrier around Xiao Yu. It's designed to keep out anyone with even a trace of demonic energy. But our girl isn't convinced. What if they're especially good at hiding it? She counters, reminding Opal that she didn't even sense the last battle. Opal looks genuinely annoyed that she's being called out. She grabs the girl's corrupted hand, admitting that she's not all-knowing, which is exactly why she's so paranoid. With a flash of golden light, Opal uses her purifying power to heal the corruption. My hand can move, who exactly are you? Our girl gasps in disbelief. Opal ignores the question, explaining she's only restored basic movement because the dark force is just that stubborn. Opal decides to take a gamble on her. For now, I'll acknowledge that you're ready to face the challenges ahead, she says. But there's a massive catch. Opal can now use the power in that hand to monitor her every move. Go investigate, Opal commands before vanishing into a cloud of glowing feathers. She tells the girl to stay by Xiao Yu's side and use her agility to bring back the intel they need. Our girl admits she doesn't fully trust the suit-wearing mentor yet. I don't even know what she really is to you, she mutters. Xiao Yu explains they've been together for 10 years, but it's complicated. She feels like everyone only cares for her because of her unique constitution. It feels more like being supervised than being loved. Sensing the heavy mood, Xiao Yu tries to pivot. By the way, could you help me fix my hair? She asks. Since her right hand is still weak, she has to rely on our girl for the delicate stuff. As the girl starts clipping away, she realizes just how much time has passed since they first met. They move to the bathroom for a proper trim. Xiao Yu notices the girl isn't wearing her signature earrings and asks why. The girl lies, claiming they were just getting in the way of her headset. But Xiao Yu sees right through it, asking if she's actually lost her hearing. The girl finally admits she's lost all sensation on that side. Even if you touch me like this, I can't feel a thing, she says sadly. The conversation turns to their friends, with Xiao Yu mentioning that Liu Zhu called her a bad woman for disappearing. Our girl explains she was hiding out on a rooftop, looking like a total mess and scavenging for food just to survive. Xiao Yu calls her lame but immediately gets worried about her stomach wound. She demands to see it, and our girl shows off a scar that should have taken months to heal. Xiao Yu is absolutely floored by the recovery speed. What kind of protagonist-tier physique is this? She screams. She realizes our girl has extraordinary regenerative abilities, making her the perfect vessel to withstand intense magic. Xiao Yu reaches out to touch the scar and the girl mentions it itches. Xiao Yu gets flustered, snapping at her for acting up at such a weird time. Our girl is offended. What, I'm not that tactless, she yells back. She was just checking her stitches, okay. They start talking about the aftermath of their rooftop stunt, and Xiao Yu casually mentions that the logistics department will just erase everyone's memories. Our girl is horrified by how casually she says it. Erasing something that was never relevant to them in the first place, what's wrong with that? Xiao Yu asks coldly, but the girl won't let it go. She asks about their real friends, Xia Yihan and Liu Su. She tells Xiao Yu how much Yihan cried and how she always defended her. Have you ever considered how she feels? She asks, leaving Xiao Yu in a stunned, guilty silence. Even a tiny dog can sense the tension is through the roof. So what are you trying to say? Our girl demands, her eyes flashing with frustration. She isn't holding back, asking him if he really thinks she should just spill the tea that magic is real, and their world is crawling with human-eating demons. Dragging them into this fight is somehow showing concern for their feelings. She snaps, practically shaking. She argues that deleting those painful memories was an act of kindness, a way to protect them from a reality they aren't ready for. The guy stays quiet for a moment, his expression unreadable. He finally speaks up, admitting he gets her desire to protect them. But don't you think it's unfair to have their memories wiped against their will? He asks, dropping a major truth bomb. He even suggests a calm negotiation instead of all this violence. Our girl literally looks like she's seen a ghost. Just how naive are you? She cries out, her voice cracking. She screams that they hold all the power and her only bargaining chip is her own flesh. He doesn't back down though, pointing out that they are both currently suffering because of deleted memories. He steps into her space, asking why she treats his memory loss so differently if it's supposed to be an act of kindness. She tries to pull away, but he's not done. He challenges her, asking why she can't accept that he might have lost his memories for a simple reason instead of some dark conspiracy. I need time, she yells, the tension in the room reaching a boiling point. He asks the ultimate question. If she believes removing bad memories is kindness, then why does she choose to spend her life tormenting herself instead of letting go? Our girl starts to crumble, her hands shaking as she grips his shirt. I'm afraid, she whispers, the tears finally starting to fall. She admits she's terrified that if she forgets even a second of the pain, she'll lose the only proof she has that he ever actually cared about her. She breaks down completely, sobbing into his chest as all that built-up trauma pours out. Why couldn't you wholeheartedly cherish me like this from the beginning? She wails. She reveals she spent her whole life praying that this gentle, caring version of him was the one that existed in their past. He looks absolutely stunned as he realizes the weight of her words. Are you saying you wanted the past Obsidian to be more like me? He asks softly. He pulls her into a firm hug, his heart breaking for our poor heroine. She calls herself a cowardly weakling, feeling like she can never live up to the strong version of herself from the past. But he realizes the truth. She wasn't looking for her old self in him. She was looking for a glimpse of the man standing right here. Idiot, he sighs, his hand cupping her face as she cries. We get a glimpse into her heart, seeing how she spent her childhood desperate for approval, wanting a superhero who was both powerful and loving. She admits that if she had to choose between power and love, she'd choose him by her side every single time. They share a deeply emotional moment, the air thick with everything they've finally said out loud. But the drama isn't over yet because he reminds her that they still live in a dangerous world. He tells her they either need to get strong enough to protect everyone, or they have to make a clean break from these relationships. Our girl looks torn, her heart still attached to the small slice of normalcy she found. She thinks back to her dorm mates, Xia Yihan with her giant heart, and Liu Zu who acts bossy but shows affection in her own way. Even if she didn't talk much, just being around them made her feel like a regular student for once. But every nightmare drags her back to her lonely reality. She feels like a monster for pushing them away, thinking that leaving the dorm is the only responsible thing left to do. He won't let her go that easily though, pulling her back into his arms. No matter what, you'll always have me, right? He promises. He even suggests that the tyrant from her past might not have been as heartless as she remembers. After all, why would a tyrant spend years teaching her self-defense and making sure she grew up safe? He wonders if they are just two sides of the same soul reacting to different worlds. Our girl is just too exhausted to process any more lore today. She buries her face in his chest, seeking the only warmth she has left. Then get some sleep, he tells her, his voice softening. He tries to act all cool and heroic, telling her to sit back while he handles everything. But then, his stomach lets out a thunderous growl that ruins the entire vibe. Our girl goes dead silent, the emotional tension evaporating instantly. You weren't saying all those comforting words just to scam a meal out of me, were you? She asks, her eyes narrowing. He starts panicking, waving his hands and trying to explain himself while his stomach continues to betray him. I'm used to you never being serious for longer than 3 seconds, she teases, finally looking a bit more like herself. She wonders if he can really handle things so low when he's this hungry. I won't be able to save you in time, you know, she jokes, a small smile playing on her lips. And just like that, our two idiots are back to their usual dynamic. Our girl is seriously worried, asking Obsidian, "Are you sure you can fly solo like this?" She's staring deep into those pink eyes, knowing the stakes are higher than ever. "If you get too hungry and pass out during the mission, I won't be able to save you in time," she warns, her voice laced with a rare bit of concern. Obsidian just gives her this look, almost surprised by the sudden warmth. Our heroine realizes she might have let her guard down, noting, "This might be the first time I've seen you wholeheartedly smile." The moment gets awkward fast, and our girl tries to play it cool as a chibai. But Obsidian isn't letting her off the hook, grabbing her hand and demanding, "Is that really what you want to focus on right now?" The tension in the room is thick enough to cut with a knife as she asks, "Do you want to eat or not?" Obsidian is playing a dangerous game, leaning in close to her neck. Our girl is frozen, her eyes wide as she tries to process the physical contact. She finally lets Obsidian feed, but it's not the romantic moment Obsidian hoped for. Wait, I meant that you can take some of my life force, not that you can mess around." Our girl stammers, blushing like crazy. Obsidian, being the ultimate tease, just purrs, but "I don't want to just eat a sloppy meal." She's got those fangs out, looking absolutely predatory. No matter how convenient life force is, it doesn't change the fact that it tastes like a microwave dinner. Obsidian complains. Our girl is losing her mind, screaming, "How can someone who is starving be so picky?" Obsidian just wants the gourmet experience, claiming it's way less taxing on the body. She's focused on the mission, reminding her that the priority is to recharge her strength so she's field ready. Obsidian keeps pushing her buttons, whispering, "Just look, you're not holding out on me at all, Tilda." That's the final straw for our girl, enough screwing around. She screams, shoving Obsidian's face away with a giant red anger vein popping on her head. She gets serious, asking if Obsidian is being a little too relaxed considering their enemies. If they don't do the proper preparations now, she won't be there to support her. Obsidian finally looks a bit guilty, admitting, "I'm getting carried away again." But she quickly bounces back into her clingy self, shouting that it's only because she's very super extra happy. She's nuzzling our girl, who is just done with the drama. Obsidian tries to play it off as a way to make them both happy, even landing a cheeky kiss on her hand. "No matter how cheesy I get, you're immune to my charms, huh?" Obsidian pouts. Our girl just sighs, telling her that maybe when she's really bored, she'll call her over to play. Finally, they get down to business. "Be a good girl and eat your damned microwave dinner," our girl commands, and Obsidian finally starts to feed for real. As the sun sets over the city, a magical golden bird, our heroine's construct, soars toward the massive global corp building. While she's watching through the bird's eyes, she sends a telepathic command, "Time to earn your keep, Obsidian." Inside a high-end office, a blonde manager is being confronted by a mysterious figure in black robes. Obsidian is watching from a distance, complaining, "What kind of intel am I supposed to gather from so far away?" She decides to infiltrate, even though our girl warns her through the comms, "Don't be stupid, that's their territory." Obsidian uses her weak magic signature to slip past the sensors, transforming into a small, inconspicuous bird. She perches by the vent, listening as the robed figure calls the blonde woman cowardly. The figure mocks her, saying she's just attached to her wealth and status. But the blonde manager isn't intimidated, calling the intruder arrogant and clueless. She drops some major lore, explaining that the chief is the absolute authority of these lands and has hand-raised generations of nobility. The robed figure loses it, screaming, "We're demons, we are a higher life form." They want to crush the current balance between humans and demonkind. The manager has heard enough, snapping, "Watch your mouth, brat," as she launches a glowing green magic pen like a spear. The demon barely dodges the attack, which thunks into the wall with terrifying force. The manager warns that if they disrupt the lifestyle she enjoys, she will find them and grind them into a meat pie to feed her cats. Talk about a girl boss threat. The demon decides to retreat for now, vanishing into a black cloud while leaving one last threat hanging in the air. But wait, the manager isn't done, she senses something. Obsidian, still in bird form, is frozen in the vents. "So the fear I was smelling came from you?" The manager asks, her eyes narrowing as she spots the bird. She reaches out, but Obsidian is too fast, flickering away with a faint bit of magic. Our girl is currently losing her mind, waiting in an empty room with her arm still in bandages. As suddenly, the door creaks open. She immediately goes on the warpath, screaming, "You bastard, why didn't you call me back if you were fine?" The man collapses right in front of her, hitting the floor like a sack of potatoes. Our heroine freezes, her anger turning into pure confusion as she asks what the hell just happened. She rushes to his side, panicking because he looks completely drained. He's out cold, and honestly, he looks like he's seen a ghost. His spirit was screaming at himself for being an idiot and letting his fear expose him. He was fading fast, desperately searching for a vessel to inhabit before his magic reserves hit zero. He finally spots his own body slumped against a wall. He knows if he stays out any longer, he's toast. With a final thump of his heart, his spirit dives back into his physical form. He gasps for air, clutching his chest as the magic reconnects. He thinks he's safe, thanking God that his body was right where he left it. But his relief is short-lived because when he opens his eyes, he's staring right at a pair of glowing green eyes. He tries to bolt, but a blast of green magic pins him down instantly. The blonde woman hovering over him isn't playing games, demanding he start talking. She wants to know exactly why he was eavesdropping from the vents like a common creep. She grills him about his search for someone named Tan Sang and his obsession with protecting the chief. Trembling on his knees, he realizes he's totally outmatched. He explains that the dark magic Tan Sang wields is a terrifying power that corrupts everything it touches. He's been tracking the guy because Tan Sang plans to break all the rules and use outsiders to kill the chief. The blonde demon just scoffs, asking what the point is. She looks down on him, mocking his measly magic reserves and telling him there's no way he can stop a monster like that. Our poor guy looks absolutely defeated. He still insists that he has to at least warn the chief so she can take precautions. The woman suddenly mentions his little girlfriend and his face goes pale. He screams at her, asking why everyone is so obsessed with invading his privacy. She just smiles, revealing that she didn't need to ask. She's been skimming his mind this whole time. She calls him a fool for putting his life on the line for a human. He finally snaps back, telling her she's one to talk since she's following the chief on nothing but blind faith. Instead of getting mad, she bursts into a fit of laughter. She decides he's actually pretty cute and offers to answer his questions as a treat. She explains that 600 years ago, demons were no better than rats in the streets. Everything changed when she took charge, lifting the succubi out of the trenches and carving out a safe space for weak demons to survive. This woman was one of the first ones the chief saved. She admires the chief for maintaining order for so long and refuses to question her decisions. She's doing quite well for herself in human society and isn't about to risk her comfortable life for some bratty teenager going through a rebellious phase. Our guy is stunned, asking why she's revealing all of this to him. She gives him a cryptic look, saying she wants to dote on him since the chief seems to like him so much. He's completely lost, claiming he doesn't even know where the chief is. She leans in close, touching his forehead with a glowing finger and whispering, "She's been here all along." Suddenly, the image of the true leader of all succubi, Chief Iliatic, flashes before his eyes. The mysterious white-haired woman from his visions is finally revealed. He realizes the chief has been hiding inside him the whole time. His little demon spirit is having a total meltdown, realizing he's been searching everywhere for her while she was literally hitching a ride in his own body. The blonde woman admits she was surprised too, but she could tell his memories were locked away by a very subtle seal. She admits she poked at the seal just to see what would happen. Deep within his consciousness, the green spirit woman bows to the white-haired lady, calling her my lady. She reports that Tan Sang has officially switched sides and is targeting her, though it might be a diversion. The little demon's spirit is fuming because they're talking in his head, but he can't hear a single word of the conversation. Suddenly, the pieces click together. The woman they call Chief is the mother he sees in his dreams. She reaches out to him and he cowers, admitting he only wanted to confirm her identity for himself. She gently pats his head, surprising him. He thought she'd be furious at him for sticking his nose into pointless conflicts. He quickly warns her that an exorcist named Zhang Hongxia is coming for revenge. He looks at her with big teary eyes, telling her he'd be really sad if she disappeared. "Mama," he whimpers. She tells him not to worry because Mama has everything under control. Seeing she's in a good mood, he goes full baby mode, asking Peewetty Peewees for one more answer. He asks the big question, why did she change his memories back then? Her expression goes cold and she remains silent. He backs away, immediately regretting asking. She tells him that knowing the truth isn't always a good thing, not for him or the girl by his side. She claims she's doing all of this to protect them. He explodes in anger, telling her not to guilt-trip him with that line again. "What's so good about my life right now?" He screams, demanding a say in his own memories. She grabs him, her aura turning dark as she asks what else she should have done. She reveals the heartbreaking truth. He was her frailest child and he was on the verge of death. In his final moments, he had begged her to free him from his suffering. She whispers that she simply couldn't deny his final request. Our poor demon heroine is sweating bullets, her red eyes wide with terror. "I killed him for you already," a voice screams in the dark. In her small animal-like form, she whimpers, "Free me or kill me." She wobbles and falls, completely spent. The high-ranking white-haired figure catches her, looking down with an unreadable expression. Another demon woman, Savorite, appears in a green glow. She's confused. "You took away your magic from everyone to hide yourself," she notes. "Why did you leave a piece in her body?" The figure simply replies that this child has a way of tugging at their heartstrings. Savorite remembers the first time they saw her. She looked like a shriveled fruit. She was weak, destined to be nothing more than fertilizer for the other children. But despite being so small, she defied every expectation and lived. Watching her tenacity reminded them of their own past. They were once like her, hiding in cracks and scrounging through garbage just to survive the rain. Savorite suggests it would be easier to just erase her memories entirely. But the figure refuses, choosing to leave a memory seal instead. They place security measures on the wide-open doors to her mind. "You jerk, say something," she yells, but he's out cold. She's fuming because he keeps taking risks and making her worry sick. She summons her blue magic, deciding to force her way into his thoughts. But the second she touches him, she hits a wall. Damn it, what a powerful barrier around her mind. She realizes, though she's talking about the boy in front of her. He finally starts to stir, looking completely dazed. Our girl softens for a second, noticing his expression. Wait, have you been crying? She asks. He looks away, whispering a soft, I'm sorry for not responding. But our girl isn't buying it. She gets defensive, sensing something is very wrong. Are you the same person who left half an hour ago? She demands. The boy is spiraling. Who am I? He wonders. He's questioning if he's a killer, a coward who abandoned his memories, or something else entirely. He looks at his own hands as if they don't belong to him. Our girl tries to call for backup, sensing the barrier in his head is active. Why am I getting left behind again? She screams to an empty room. The boy finds himself in a golden void, collapsing to the floor. A new woman in a sharp suit looks down at him with a smirk. Oh ho tilde, what an elegant and practical design for a barrier spell, she muses. She's impressed by his bravery, but notes that he looks absolutely devastated. He refuses to talk to her. She warns him that keeping secrets will cost him her trust. He glares up at her, his eyes glowing red with defiance. And why should I be trusting you exactly? He snaps back. He's done being a pawn. I thought high and mighty angels were supposed to be all holy. He sneers, challenging her very nature. At the same time, the tension is thicker than a villainess's plot armor. Our girl is absolutely fuming, pacing around like a caged tiger because she's realized she's being played. Those two shitheads. She snarls, realizing they're working together to keep her in the dark once again. Suddenly, the door flies open with a loud clack. It's the senior, and she doesn't look like she's in the mood for games. Goblin child, she yells, clearly exasperated that she turned her back for 2 minutes only for our heroine to start acting weird again. Our girl doesn't back down for a second, demanding to know how the senior figured out the hospital's complex barrier so quickly. The senior just sighs, pushing her back down onto the bed. Of course not, you overestimate my abilities, she mutters, explaining that angel barriers are way more complicated than she imagined. She's planning to head back to the department to grab more gear, but she wanted to check in first. But as she looks at our girl's bandaged foot, she loses her cool. I just wanted to check on you, and as soon as I look, you're throwing a fit again? She cries, squeezing the foot for emphasis. Can't you give me some peace of mind just once? Our heroine goes quiet, her eyes shadowed with a pain that's been brewing for a long time. Then her voice drops to a cold, dangerous whisper. What obligations do I have to put your mind at ease? She asks. She looks up, her gaze piercing. Who even am I to you? Why do you even care if I live or die? The senior is stunned, but our girl is just getting started. How can you say such awful things? The senior demands. But our girl has receipts. Why didn't you tell me that you've already found magic traces of the succubus chief? She fires back. The senior's face pales as she realizes she's been caught. How did you find out? She stammers. Our girl isn't just a pretty face, she's been doing her homework. She checked the inventory and security tapes, noticing that several magic tracking devices went missing without any paperwork. To think I trusted you so much? She says, her voice trembling with betrayal. She's been putting her life on the line, almost dying at the succubus banquet, while the person she trusted most was hiding the truth. Do you plan to be just like Obsidian then? Abandon me as soon as I'm no longer useful? She screams, her eyes wide with fury and hurt. The senior snaps, enough nonsense, how could you doubt me like this? She claims she was only trying to protect her from a bloody burden. But for our heroine, it's too late for protection. Now's the time you tell me not to shoulder it, she bellows. This isn't just about a mission, it's personal. My dad was murdered by that effing succubus for God knows what reason. She cries, the trauma finally boiling over. She thought the senior of all people would understand her need for vengeance. She reminds the senior that she was ready to end it all until she was given a reason to live. Revenge. Now she feels like she's being pushed back into the dark hole she spent years clawing her way out of. The room falls into a heavy, suffocating silence as our girl breaks down, sobbing into her hands. The senior finally softens, realizing she's been far too short-sighted. She admits she's been ignoring our girl's feelings, making her feel completely alone in her struggle. She looks back on everything they've been through, how our girl tracked down the chief's inner circle and even drew out the chief herself. The senior reveals the terrifying truth she uncovered in the lab. She was investigating the succubi under their supervision, trying to trigger the same defense mechanism they saw in Obsidian. She discovered that every single succubus, even the most unremarkable ones, carries the chief's magic inside them. That mother figure uses it as a despicable tactic to keep an iron grip on the entire population. The senior shows the cost of her discovery, a nasty magic-burned injury on her own shoulder. Our girl is terrified, knowing exactly how dangerous he is. The real culprit behind everything is that damned succubus chief, she shouts. Whether it's murder or prison breaks, every road leads back to her. The common denominator is always mother, and the cycle of pain won't stop until she's wiped off the face of the earth.